Welcome to the Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Christophe Fournier, John Travolta, JMels24, Unamento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Will Brax, Mel B Styles, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Gilded and G+, so you can enjoy their dulcet tones, while I set up for today's live show.
Okay.
Nathan, what shows today?
1749.
Thank you. First time I'm taking notes since I moved.
All right, generally just, along for the ride, and then now you're back into the thick of doing it seriously.
Yeah, well, I always take notes because that's how I was trained to remember things and to go back to points in training sessions, and it's just a good habit to have. And then when I started to move, it was difficult. So ever since I've been on your show, I've got folders for each show.
I'd like to see them, man. I want to see them folders. They must be intense.
Well, they are intense because Tense did it.
Oh, boy.
I'm glad you are, because I'm not. I have no idea what any of the shows contain unless I've put a title that gives me some vague idea of what's on the show. So like yesterday's show, no bulge, because there was a good 20 to 30 minute section at the beginning of the live show where we talked about the physical geometric sphere edge horizon, bulge, getting in the way of boats and buildings. And obviously Craig was referenced. So therefore Craig goes in the thumbnail. Why no bulge or whatever becomes the title. And then I go, I vaguely remember what was on that show now. But if it hasn't got that, because I haven't had time or I haven't made a thumbnail, I have no idea what's on the shows. It's terrible, really.
Just check with Tent.
Yeah, I started to, once I got a concept of how you do your show, which then I would go to the top of the ledger and so if it took, say, 5 pages of notes, for example, first page would show, like here, show 1749, Tuesday, 18th October 2022. Then whatever the key topic is, I'll write on the top part. That way, if I'm referencing, I know what was the key topic. And if it's 4 or 5 key topics, then it's like 7, 8, 10 pages of notes. Then each page will have that topic.
Okay. That's a lot of work. I know if it's second nature because it's note-taking, then fine, but it's still a lot of work.
It is note-taking. I got it right here on my lap with a pencil, and anything that strikes me as noteworthy, I just write down.
Fair enough. Is there more notes when there's a baller on or less?
Say that again?
If there's a baller on, would you say you took more notes or less?
No, I would say it depends. If the argument is like when Eli and Chocolate and Adam or whoever else on the panel is contributing, say Brian's logic with something, the notes go really good and hard. But if it's a baller, then it's just, if it's the same old argument that I've already done somewhere else, I skip that.
Like Phil B manipulating satellites at home with his computer. What notes do you need for that?
Well, you'd probably make a note of the specific any specific quotes that are noteworthy? Because there often are. Because I can vaguely make recollection of you saying to not a new visitor, but somebody who's been on the panel, been on the opposing side of the argument on flat Earth debate previously, and you'll say, no, I've got that written down. You said, 1 second, X, Y, and Z, end quote. Normally followed by a long protracted silence.
Yeah, that's a good part for it too. Manipulating satellites from your living room. Can I get one of those machines?
Oh boy, you know something? We're talking about it in chat a little bit, but that's a strong indoctrination because you fight for it. In the beginning, you fight really hard for it. Some people continue to fight for it till this day, and there's no evidence of what they're fighting for. It's crazy.
If you're going to have arguments and debates, then you should know your topic and subject matter pretty well before you start. But then when you run into people who are the kinds that come on the show when the globe is rendered useless because there's no R, what's the point? I mean, I try to keep everything down to 2 or 3 points, and they're all killer points. So it doesn't matter about someone saying, I can control satellites, or what about this? Well, you don't have a globe. So what do you mean, what about this?
But I'm talking about the indoctrination. I mean, it's so strong, and it's because it's constantly every day. It's on TV, or it's in a newspaper, or there's an article about something in space, outer space, that we know is not true.
But that's what I'm addressing. If you don't have a globe with R, then all of that is there exactly for the reason you said, indoctrination. But if you just have to ask people, do you think you're being lied to by anyone ever in your life? We know the answer. The governments lie, the corporations lie, news agencies lie, sports personalities lie, do medical, as we see, institutions and the governments lie, blah, blah, blah. Just get whatever they say. They're all going to say yes. Okay. Well, I think they've lied about this, and I could prove it to you.
Hey guys.
How are they going to say? Hi.
Hey, one deck.
Yeah, it's like I've just come back from holiday, and I was just sat around the pool having a chat with this guy. Similar, nice guy, and we got on with each other and everything. And I don't know how it came up, but something came up about the topic, satellites or space on his side. So I just stopped him in his tracks around the pool and said, I tell you now, I'm a flat earther. So if you want to carry on the conversation, we can do, but I'm a flat earther. And he did have a little chuckle to himself. He went, what, you believe in the flat earth? I said, yeah. But I bring that up sometimes, and it causes problems.
Is that really what he said?
An argument.
Sorry to interrupt. Just straight off the bat, you say I'm a flat earther. You make it really clear that you're a flat earther. His response is, so you believe the earth is flat? Right? What are you supposed to go with that? No, it means I'm a chicken farmer.
I know, yeah. But basically, I explained that I've been into these conversations, and I don't like getting into. They can end a little bit rowdy, blah 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 blah. So I said to him, "What I do now is," I said, "I'm a flat earther. If you want to carry on the conversation," I said, "what I do now is, you can come back to me with some evidence, either later today or tomorrow or during the holiday, and prove to me that the globe." I said, "I will give you €100, $200. I said, but if you can't do that, or I can debunk that one piece of evidence, I said, you owe me that amount of money." I said, I will leave it at that. I said, let's carry on with a normal conversation now, but if you want to continue with it, that's where we'll go. Anyway, he never came back to me. Because he's got no proof of the globe, or he was scared to come back to me with whatever I'd respond with. Matt, we did see each other on the holiday, and I didn't bring it up again with him, and he never brought it up again with me. But he's obviously gone away and thought about that and thought, the guy might have a point. But anyway, I just thought I'd let you know about that.
Oh, very interesting. I like it.
Yeah, that's good. Put money where your mouth is.
I had a similar experience.
Yesterday.
Similar experience on my holiday. So, car breaks down. Next thing you know, you're in a conversation about what you do for a living. In this case, debate the nature of Earth. And then before you know it, you're explaining this, that, and the other about flat Earth cosmology to a complete stranger.
Yeah, I was playing golf yesterday, and I walked 7 miles carrying the bag, so I'm sore. I haven't done that in 2 years. It's been a while. But, you can count on it being said at a golf round when the putt goes in, and I have this putt that came in through the side. I mean, it just was breaking left to right so slowly that it went past the cup
Here it
and
comes.
kind of like stopped at the side and fell in. And the guy goes, "Oh, gravity took over."
That's not where I thought you were going to go. I thought you were like, see, there is curve of the Earth. I thought that's where it was going with it.
No. So my normal response when I hear that, and I said, "Well, what's that?" or something like that, right? Or you believe in that, But this is just a new group that I'm meeting, so I know I'm going to see him again. So I was thinking about, all right, so the next time this happens, what can I say that's different than what I normally say? And it occurred to me that I could just stay within their reference of their lies. And what occurred to me is I'll say, oh, no. Einstein threw gravity under the bus 107 years ago. That's the bending of space-time that made that ball go in. And then see what they say. That'd be awesome. There's no force of gravity. Einstein destroyed that with general relativity. So it's really the bending of space-time if you would have it. Do you think that's what happened?
Yeah, but your average baller would probably say yeah. Yeah.
No, he wouldn't. They'd not. See, I'm finding a difference between the normie. The normie still got the gravity thing going because remember, unless they go to university, they're not taught that other stuff.
That's true.
Most of them still think it's this force attracting thing. Mass attracts mass. So it's just, I mean, we've done it so long. We've observed it on your show. It's second nature. I could go so many ways. I try to keep everything to 3 arguments. Don't let them go past that. And each one they fail at.
Yeah, but what about the guy who was telling me that the reason why I'm on Earth is because it's spinning? Are they tying that into gravity? Are they saying that some force with the Earth spinning and gravity, that's why you're grounded?
You know what
I've
I
never
would
heard
say?
that before.
You know what I would say to that? That's how can it be spinning when you don't have R? We don't live on a ball.
Yeah,
So I
that's
would
the first
destroy.
thing you tell them.
No, I would stay on it because see, they want to go to spinning. They want to go to all these other things. You just go back to the one you killed because if you killed that, you killed it all. It's a headshot.
That's right.
It's over with the black swan.
Oh, sorry, Bill. Yeah, that's right because the R's the killer because if when anything that comes back to R, any radius measurement is coming from a elevation angle, which
Yep.
is a line of sight above a horizontal plane. So if you can mention Eratosthenes, they can mention Alberuni, and then you can break that down. Well, there was no curve, mate. It's a flat plane. It's an angle measurement, and then go into it nicely with them and show them. Even draw a sketch.
Oh,
So R's the
yeah.
killer.
Even
Hey, Eli. Your mic is breaking up, Eli.
Okay. Well, I keep pausing it because it's loud. Can you hear that in my background? Probably so.
No, you're good. Go.
Oh, good. So yeah, GPS also uses triangulation.
Yeah, now you're breaking up.
No, I mean GPS also uses elevation angles and trigonometry.
Yeah, I remember Brian's logic shared that.
Good one, because they'll always try and throw that one in like, well, it's GPS now. That's nothing to do with them old days and Eratosthenes and Alberuni and angles. We've got GPS as if that's a curve proof.
Yeah, like the way to use the Doppler shift, quote unquote, to understand the difference in frequency for a moving satellite or a moving signal. So the bottom line is you're going to get the angle, the elevation angle of that thing, and then, do the little co-altitude thing and all of that and the math or whatever, and yada yada. But it's an elevation angle measurement first.
But at the instance, I would say to that, we just destroyed the R, so there's no global anything. Before I would go into the elevation angle, I would just go back to the killing of the R. I would just let them know it was a mortal wound. It wasn't.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. When I mentioned GPS, I found out that there's nothing about a globe in there, unless you want to do like some advanced pretend stuff, math.
No,
But it's
agree.
like you guys also say this, they have the Haversine formula, don't they? And all that palaver going on as well. So they'll measure it straight, get the angles, and then turn it into a curve with some curvature formula.
Yeah, but
Again,
GPS refers to a flat plane. It's a geographical position system, referring to a grid system over a plane.
but again, if
All right,
I
George, how
may,
you doing?
Hello. Who's that?
Hey, guys.
Oh, hello. Whoever that was.
Nathan wants to know who you are.
Hi, George here.
Oh, hey ho, hi.
George.
I thought it was someone else that said hello.
It was me,
George.
Nathan, just saying hello to George, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, I was going to say in the conversation we were having earlier, when I was training salespeople, they usually got nervous and overtalked and said too much and explained the product rather than gauge the customer by studying his eyes and his body language. If you say too much and you see the eyes roll, you just spoke over and above the customer's willingness or level of understanding because you're nervous and you want to spew out all the facts thinking that's going to make the sale. When a good question is better. And if you see them nodding their head saying, yeah, this is good, I like it, then that's a buying sign. By you spewing more information, you're probably going to lose the sale.
It's also like my partner's not really into the flat Earth. She can't get her head around it. We don't talk about it that much. We probably had more arguments about it than anything else. But I think she's a lot better than she was. And even on the flight from Amsterdam, I went on to Las Vegas. I was just pointing things out to her, like we got up there, and we're leveling out 35,000 miles, whatever it was. Beautiful views, and I kept pointing out to her, "Oh, look at the horizon over there, how lovely it is and level," and just dropping things in like that. And then I started talking about the plane, the wings, and how it controls the plane for turning and coming up and down. And I kept just bringing it up every hour or so. Have you seen them wings move yet? Have we dipped anything round that? I have a little joke with her, like, have we dipped round the curve yet? But she didn't really pick me up on it. But I could tell when she was up there and I was bringing these things up in a gentle way, I could see her cogs turning in her brain. And I think she's starting to think about it on the quiet now.
That's really good because obviously you had a very plain conversation with her.
It was a bit up and down, the conversation, like, but
You weren't winging it, were
Very
you?
good.
So Nathan, what do you think about that?
I like that he kept it plain and simple.
Yes, thank you. No, I meant about over talking when you're trying to sell something.
Sorry, what you want? What do you want my opinion on?
Well, you were in sales, so what do you think about what I said about salesmen being scared, nervous, they overtalk, over-explain?
Most people get it wrong, like you said, they get it wrong because they're trying to sell a product and they don't realise that people don't buy products, they buy from people. So you have to become their friend and establish their need. You have to establish what they require. And then all you have to do is provide them with what they require. That's it. It's really easy. I thought sales was dead easy.
It was that easy.
It is if you find out what the person wants, which most salespeople don't do. What is it you want? What is it you're looking to do? What is it you're trying to achieve? Well, I want to sell more of your box than the other box. Well, my box will sell more than the other box. This is how. So you want to hear how this box will sell more than that box. Okay, I can do that for you. But if the person wants it to perform a particular function, then you need to find that out. Because if they're not interested necessarily in selling more of one box than the other because they all sell themselves, people come in and buy them, they just need to know which one sounds better because they want to put the better sounding one in front of them, for instance. Then you need to sell that to them. But you have to establish what they want. So most of the desires of the people who come here, unfortunately, are for something that we don't provide, which is unfortunate, but it's not necessarily the case that I have to make a sale here. Far from it. So when we establish that somebody has a requirement, a need, for a new paradigm, we don't have that to offer them. We take away their old paradigm, point out that they've been lied, and essentially leave them with nothing. And that might be glorious to some, but for most, it isn't. They ask you, well, why does this work? Why does that work? Because they want the answers from you. And most of the time, as much as we might be embarrassed to say it, we don't have those answers, the ones they want.
That's what gets my son angry, because I can't give him answers. You're right on point.
No, but you have given them an answer. You've given them an answer they were lied to. That's the first thing. After that, it takes time. But let me ask you, how do you find out what they want, Nathan?
You ask them.
See, that's the key. That's the whole point. You ask questions. And this, instead of telling, you're asking. If people could learn that more, then the person will tell you exactly what they want.
Well, we know what
customers
wants. He wants answers to the dome. He wants to know what the dome is. They're not satisfied with just flat Earth. I know that because he had said it.
Who said that?
Yeah, it's like
What's it?
It's kind of. I mean, but doesn't that undermine Nathan's point? Like, once we take away their paradigm, they're left with a vacuum, and they want to know. Look, because the paradigm actually did a good job at hijacking various observations in reality. So when you take away the paradigm, they don't know how to make sense of their reality. We don't have the questions that they would ask. We don't have the answers, I mean.
Yeah, we definitely have the questions. I want to know what the sky is. But the most prevailing questions that may get asked are the questions that the control structure we live within have utilized, because they're the most commonly asked questions. So in terms of where am I, what is the world, those are pretty fundamental questions that, you know, although it's shocking when I hear my kids asking them at their very tender ages, it doesn't surprise me. You know, it takes me back. I'm like, whoa, there's you asking that very fundamental question that we deal with on a daily basis right at this age where they'd be indoctrinating you. You know, it's just nuts. You're like, man, it makes so much sense when you watch the mentality of a child. Because that's what they're asking about. And that's what we would be asking about if we didn't already have answers. Now, because you're not a child and you're not curious and you're not looking into it and you haven't got that developmental part of your brain still growing, you just want it replacing. You don't want to go through that process again. You just want the replacement. Well, what is it then?
Oh, that's a good point.
I don't leave them in the vacuum whatsoever. But first, let me answer Whitsitt, and I'll explain what I mean. Whitsitt already came to flat Earth, so that's a whole different. We're talking about flat Earth debate. That realization, he's already there. So back to when I share, if they say that to me, which some have, I say, well, the Creator. They're hiding the Creator, obviously, because you've got Copernicus changing the whole scriptural narrative of how the Earth was created. Then you've got Darwin using Copernicus to push evolution. What do you think it is? So now, if you want to know who the Creator is, look up and start praying, and He'll answer your prayers. And so that's your purpose in life. And if they say, well, I don't believe in the Creator, I say, so you believe nothing produced everything? Then they say, well, that does sound pretty stupid. And again, God does the saving, God does the revealing, and all we have to do is point him to the Creator. So I don't leave him a vacuum whatsoever.
See, that's the thing with the heliocentric model. That's what it's done. It's stopped people thinking and asking questions, because they give you all the so-called answers. You know, the distance to the sun, the speed the Earth's. You don't have to ask any questions. They just tell you that's what's happening, and you don't need to think about the world that you live in, because it's all been worked out for you. So it stops people using the brain and asking questions, and that's
Yeah, we
that's
thought
what
it
they
was.
do.
Hold on, we thought it was all worked out. That's what I thought. And then you come to find out that none of it is backed by anything. There's no evidence of anything. So it's not what they say it is.
One deck, wouldn't you need R for that?
Yeah, and you'll need a
Okay,
bloody
so if we
elevation
kill,
angle as well.
right, so we're back to killing the globe with the black swan, and all those things die with it.
Yep.
Like if someone said all those things to me, I'd say, well, yeah, if you had R, but you don't have R, so none of those things are true. You got to first produce R.
I overclocked my memory. I couldn't resist. I couldn't get it to work. Normally, what I do with a new computer, I don't overclock memory normally. I do. I just enable XMP like any normal person, and then just, that's it. It's done. But this new computer didn't like XMP profiles, which is like the automatic preset overclocking timings and voltages that you need for the memory to go faster. And you enable it, and it just shut the computer down, which went to black screen. So after trying it twice and failing, I gave up and then just did everything else. And then you get to the end, which is when I said I'd finished a couple of days ago. And I'm like, yeah, but Paul has paid for DDR5 6000 speed memory. It's like, it's running at 4000. So it was a waste of money. It just seems like a waste to buy really good memory and not have it running at the speeds that it's supposed to run at, because I'm incapable of doing it, because I haven't learned how to memory overclock. So through frustration more than anything else, I was like, I'm going to learn how to do it. I can actually reset the BIOS on this thing. He's bought a really good motherboard. So on the back, it's got a little button that you can reset the CMOS. So if you mess it up, you can just reset it to a blank, the BIOS to a blank slate. And because I've done it so much, I've memorized all the timings and voltages, so I can just go through it really quickly from memory if I have to blank it out and start again, because that's what memory overclocking involves. But I eventually got it to
9
work,
o'clock.
just not quite at the speed that the memory's rated for. Then I did a bit of research and found out that the speed I'd got it to was the fastest I could get out of 4 sticks simultaneously being used in any motherboard. There's just an issue with the newest platform, which this is, and it doesn't like the faster speeds of memory yet. The memory controller can't handle it. So I was like quite pleased with myself. I'm like, okay, so considering the configuration, I've got it to the fastest speed I can get in this configuration on a new platform with basically zero knowledge of memory overclocking, because I don't know anything about it. I just learn it all on the fly. But I thought, well, why not? I know how to reset the computer now, because I thought I'd have to disassemble it and take the battery out, which is what you normally have to do if you mess it up, which on a normal computer is fine. You just reach in and pull the battery out. Whereas in this, that's not possible. The motherboard's back to front, facing in with a giant cooler in front of it. So there's no access to anything. You can see the back of the motherboard only. Nothing is accessible. Absolutely nothing. But
I'm having Eggs Benedict.
Go on. Say again.
I said I'm having Eggs Benedict right now. What are you having, Tent?
I don't know.
This is not the Ballbusters show. Excuse me.
Thanks for breaking the
You can
conversation.
talk about computers
Hello,
in the
everyone.
pre-show. We're not allowed to talk about
very,
food.
It was very riveting.
It's directly linked to Flat Earth. The stream that's going out now is that computer. So the fact that it's absolutely red hot, blisteringly, literally hot, and running at absolute full tilt maximum capacity as fast as a £1,000 chip, I am very pleased with how well I've done with this computer. And it's silent.
Well, at least your computer has a molten iron core.
It does. A lot of the other people who produce it, Paul, the guy who bought it, got in touch with other people who manufactured that system. And they were like, yeah, we call it the oven. Yeah, we call it the hot box. In other words, they've all got these little nicknames for it because the thing is, you put your hand on it, it'll burn you. You know, because it's retaining so much heat in the aluminium itself and the heat sinks that are attached to the aluminium that the entire machine is just a giant heat sink slowly emanating heat out. and just keeping the machine from thermally throttling. You know, it's quite nuts, really. It's a bit of a feat of engineering, but just a mad machine.
The hot box?
Hotbox, yeah. It's the idea behind it is that normally what you have is these really stacked close together fins, a heatsink, right? Like on a car radiator. And the idea is you blow air or force air through the thin stacks, the fins of the radiator to cool the liquid. Or in this case, just dissipate the heat from the aluminium if it's an air cooler. So you have to force air through thinly close together fins to dissipate the heat by way of moving air across them to get the heat off them. That's the idea of a heatsink. This doesn't work like that. It is a heatsink, but each of the fins is 1.5 inches apart. And the idea is that they heat up, so it's designed to run hot, so that natural convection can get the heat out of the heatsink. So it has to reach a certain temperature to work. In other words, even at idle, it's running hot, because it has to get rid of the heat. But it means that normally on a computer, a fan will push the air out and then it'll just blow out into the room and just dissipate relatively quickly. With this, it just sort of hovers around the machine. It comes out the top at a rate, but the machine itself still has to retain a certain amount of heat to do that. It's just a bonkers design.
Is that sort of like when you're overheating in your car, you turn on your heat?
Yeah, that's a way of getting the heat to escape by more means. There's more pathways if you open the heating vents for the heat to escape. Yes, in a way. But this is doing it by natural convection. It's just heating up, and then by its own volition, the heat is shedding.
Wow.
He'll just travel to a cooler place.
What time do you have, Nathan?
Pardon?
What time do you have, Nathan?
It's 2 minutes to on my computer clock, which I must change because it's
It's
probably 1 minute
9:04,
past,
it's
right?
4 minutes past.
Oh,
4 minutes
bloody hell.
past.
Okay, yeah, we'll get on with it.
Sorry, One Deck.
We'll get back to you in the live show one day. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Arwin, Righteous Force, Eli, 10th Man, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Gilded, so welcome one and all.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone.
What day is it? Is it Monday? How come everyone's so
Tuesday.
chirpy?
No, it's Tuesday.
Wow, chirpy Tuesday. This is unusual.
Taco Tuesday.
Did you
Taco
forget about
Tuesday.
yesterday, the great show? Or did my ball win act completely mesmerize you?
Aaron, I am incredibly fickle, and that was almost immediately forgotten about. Let's be honest. If you annoy me in the next 5 minutes, you'll just get shouted at like you would anyway. I'm very fickle.
No, I think yesterday was enough for now.
I take it my buttering of Arwin's ego has lasted a full 24 hours by that last statement.
Oh no, that one's gonna last for at least another 5 years.
Oh, really? Well, okay. Check out yesterday's show if you want to hear me buttering. It was well worth it. I'm not going to take any word of that back. I meant every word of it. Arwin is ace. I will always stand by that. The demonstrable reasons for him being ace will be highlighted when they come out, because that's why he gets called ace. So why wouldn't I highlight them? You know, there's plenty of attributes of every single panel member that are ace, and when they come out really cleanly and concisely, it's worth highlighting, I feel. Anyway, let's do some housekeeping.
So you're going for the 10 years, are you?
No, I'm not trying to butter your ego. You know I think you're ace, Arwin. There's no
Cool,
secret.
Cool. I do appreciate it. And I do my best to live up to that.
I mean, just
all I got.
I was going to add.
All I got.
Go on.
No, I was going to say one deck's here. We know he's ace.
So yeah,
thanks for that, mate.
There are plenty of things that Arwin needs to work on, right? For a start, he's very immature in his behaviour towards other panel members. There's plenty I can cram into a shit sandwich if I have to for Arwin. Hey, don't stop me, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying there are plenty of things that are negative about Arwin. It's just typically the reason I highlight the fact that he's ace is because most people focus on Arwin's negative aspects, which aren't major. Everybody's got little negative things that people don't like about them. Even if you like them, there are things you won't like about people that you like. And those are what get focused on. And there's a reason that I consider the panel the elite of Flat Earth. We are. And Arwin has a very specific part to play in that. And it's different, much more different than other roles that we have here. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure I could do just as well. That's a lie. But you know what I'm getting at. Arwin's got a very specific role that he plays, and he's adopted it of his own volition and became very good at doing what he does. And there was a couple of people who made a comment about it, actually, Arwin. And they were frustrated because they want to see the ballers doing your job. Yeah? Well, they do. You do a better job than it. For our purposes, that is. Not for them, because they want to see you rumpus the crap out of the losing point when it gets highlighted. And you're not... You know, you used to do that as well because you were so into the role. Now you'll do it to highlight the fact that it'll happen, and then we'll move past with the point once a little bit of rumpusing and you telling the audience that you're being Fundy muted and things, you know, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I realized that the ballers would actually expect Baldwin to, well, just like anti-flat earthers, to never let go of one singular nitpicky unimportant point. And then just hold on to that until the conversation's breaking, right? Because that's what they end up doing a lot. Well, as Baldwin, I refuse to do that. Right. I'm not gonna make the conversation break. I might make your mind break, but not the conversation.
Well, Neil experienced it the other day in the chat of the second channel, Nathan Oakley, subscribed today. But in that channel, you had Phil Bell asking about, telling people how maps are spherical, and they're not. And, you know, in spite of both me and Neil pointing out how his error breaks down in terms of the use of maps and navigation on a flat plane, he would be insisting on us telling him what the maps are used for. Just some red herring that he got stuck on like a stuck record. Round and round and round he went, no concession ever, just constantly asking, well, what are the maps being used for? You're like, navigation. They're flat. That's all that matters. The argument point is about whether or not they're sphere-shaped. But they'll latch onto some red herring and get into parrot stuck record mode.
Yep, that's what they do most of the time.
That was Neil's cue. Where is Neil? Normally he's got everything to interrupt with. I'm mentioning him in a specific conversation he had, and he's not here. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
No, and it's
not since 2020.
Good answer.
It's geometric, but you can't see it, though.
Oh, here we go again.
Well, then it's not a physical hill in the way. Let's not just...
Well,
we're about to repeat the entirety of yesterday's show, by the way, Arwin, if we carry on this vein, just so you know.
I'll keep it short. It's physically in the way, but optically it isn't.
If it's physically in the way, it's both optically and physically in the way, regardless. Hills don't get optically out of the way.
If it's in the way and optically it's not, how do you know it's in the way?
Well, you can measure it.
You don't. It isn't. You can't.
No, you can't. How do you measure it?
You measure it to be greater than what it's meant to be.
With a ruler.
Let's move on. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Well, first of all, that question, when you say axial rotation of the Earth-based variety, a glober's immediately going to think of a globe spinning. But obviously, we're not, so it's not of a globe Earth spinning because we do not have Earth-based Coriolis.
I don't think we expect to see any rotation.
Keep
on the
pulling
Yes,
them
we
all out.
do. Yes, we do, Arwen.
Yeah, they
No,
claim
we are
15
told-
the
degrees. now.
universe is rotating, not the Earth.
Yeah, they claim Earth's turning 15 degrees an hour to cause the not actual deflection of the stars at a rate of that 15 degrees an hour. So, yeah, they do claim the Earth's turning. They claim the stars move as a result. They claim we're in a non-inertial turning reference frame, observing an inertial reference frame seem to drift as we turn beneath. It's called Coriolis effect. It's very much a globe claim.
Well, they're also
Oh,
claiming
well.
the molten iron core, which I think they're kind of in the process of altering. So maybe my concept of the universe actually spinning instead of the Earth might also be adopted on the long run.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No, if you don't have R, you don't have that. So that dies right there too.
Well, I think they're trying to test new P waves and S waves. I even saw some weirdo videos about that, but I trust it's going to result in an equal measure of failure.
According to John, you need a flat plane because it's an angle that bounces back.
The return angle signal, you can't get an angle unless it's a flat plane. Their P waves, S waves requires a flat plane to give them an assertion of a return angle.
Yeah, everything, once you destroy R, everything else dies. They're just there for like frosting on the cake. The cake is gone. So forget the frosting.
Any
But you
evidence?
can't destroy R. It's a letter of the alphabet.
No, Earth radius, specifically. Any evidence of Earth radius. That's the R value in the Earth curve mathematics.
It
If
only
they would
exists in
only
the
have
maths.
that.
That was the right answer. Let's hear that again from
You
Jorge.
can calculate it.
Was it Jorge?
Yeah, it only exists in the maths.
Yeah, we're not standing on a sphere. Earth with a radius only exists in mathematics. Doesn't exist in physical reality. We're not on a sphere. There is no radius. You can't measure it. If you try to, you'll need a flat plane to do it. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
I was going to say you can calculate it, but
Negative.
with this one you can't calculate it.
But in physical
You need
reality,
to have a
there are
horizontal
no...
plane first.
Go on, Jorge.
You need to have a horizontal plane. Without the horizontal plane, you cannot have an elevation angle.
Yeah, exactly. You require a flat Earth to assert that you're on a sphere.
That's pretty
Oh yeah,
devastating.
the globe is flat. Measures to be flat.
To assert that you're on a globe requires you make flat Earth measurements. That's the facts of the matter.
That's right. I am your father. Search your math. You know it to be true.
Precisely. The flat Earth is the globe's father. You enter into a paradoxical worldview if you do not accept that the Earth is measured flat, because your globe Earth measurements have come from the flat Earth. That's how the Earth presents itself and how it must be measured. To assert you're on a sphere requires you measure the Earth as it lays out before you. That's flat. And then take those flat Earth angle measurements to produce a sphere model.
And why would they have to use something called the Haversine formula if it was already curved?
If the Earth is a sphere, why would it be necessary to convert to a sphere by way of the Haversine formula?
Transformative, I think John says, right?
And if you
Or
said
maybe it's
Santiago
because
is not to be
otherwise the flat
touched,
earthers listen.
then why would it be necessary to transfer him off the base? No, if you said Santiago is not to be touched, and your orders are always followed, then why would it be necessary to transfer Santiago off the base?
Hold on. That does not sound good with an English accent. Sorry.
What, you mean the
thought that was very
Shatner
good.
effect?
Neil, you can't handle the accent.
It's the sentiment,
It's too proper.
It's not the accent. It's the sentiment.
Too proper.
If the Earth's a sphere, why is it needed to make conversions to spherical from flat when measured
that's
flat?
better.
It wouldn't be, is the answer. You wouldn't need to transfer Santiago off the base if your orders are always followed and he wasn't to be touched. That's A Few Good Men for anybody who wasn't, watching movies in the 90s. When
Yeah,
Tom Cruise
they would
was
have
young.
definitely got it with that accent. You wasted.
I thought Nathan was cruising along just fine.
Oh, good one.
These puns are Top Gun.
Oh my God, that's even better.
Very good.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure, like we're all breathing, without a container?
Impossible. That would be a danger zone.
Very good.
Wow.
Yeah,
We're
it's
still
getting-
waiting for the answer from Mr. Faulkner, isn't it?
I'm just glad we're talking about housekeeping. We moved on to the weather because the days of thunder are coming.
What does Mr. Faulkner say? Remind us.
Is this going to be a Mission
He didn't
Impossible
have
to
the
get us back
answer.
on
We're still
housekeeping?
waiting for the answer.
Oh, that's a good one, Nathan. Mission
Hang on, that
Impossible.
was a good one, Nathan. But what did he say?
Seems getting back on housekeeping. I'm in the minority. Report
Oh, my
your
God.
positions.
Talk about going crazy with puns. I'm going to hold this show. I'm going to put pun right at the top of my ledger right here. Pun show. Nathan took over.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Nope, there's no way to test it. We're already in a container because we have gas pressure, and there's literally no physical way to ever be able to test that.
My favourite is when they show you a vacuum and then say, look, check it out. Within this vacuum, I can create a circumstance where you have gas pressure forming without a container. You go, so within this giant container, you can show gas pressure without a container? Well, that's a pretty cool magic trick. What about this giant container? Well, just ignore the container that it's in. It's gas pressure without a container. In a container.
Well, that was one of the stronger arguments there that we put to them. You need a container for gas pressure, but you also need a container to create a vacuum to take out all the gas. So where did they go from there?
Well,
They're supposed to have Earth.
I was going to say, I was just going to reiterate your point. You can't have gas pressure without a container. That's correct. But you can't have a vacuum without a container either. So the assertion that the sky is a vacuum and that we have gas pressure without containment is absolutely absurd. The sky is not a vacuum. Outer space is a lie. It's the basis of the lie of heliocentrism. It's the propping up of the lie that the world model is your world with the lie of space. Outer space is fake. You can't have gas pressure without a container. We're breathing high pressure gas. There must be containment. Therefore, space is fake.
Well, when you show the picture,
Yeah, you'd need two containers.
When you show the picture of the blackness of their space, outer space, the way they say it, and then you got Earth with clouds on it, and no barrier, that's an impossibility, violation of natural law. I mean, how much more do you want something in front of you for you to wake up that you've been lied to?
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
What is it?
The bending of space-time.
What's that?
Can't bend
Morning,
time.
fellas.
Hey, Chocolate.
Time's a concept. You
Bend
can't bend time. You can't dilate
I
it. You
could tell
can't
you
bend
that-
it. You can't travel through it.
Nathan, what time is it right now on your
Yeah,
watch or
correct.
clock?
There is no force of gravity at all, anyway.
Okay, so in the pre-show I mentioned that I've been tuning the memory in my computer. Now, 10th Man has taken upon itself to realise that despite my efforts of making this computer fast and good and all the rest of it, the clock's wrong. So, can't even get the clock right.
Well, I'm just saying, can you bend that clock so it can keep the right time? Is there a way to do
I'm going to
that?
push it back 2 minutes, yes, because it's 2 minutes fast, it seems.
Oh,
But
you're
no,
going to do
that's
something.
just a
Okay.
that's just a notion of keeping track. It's not something I can travel through or dilate or bend. It's not a dimension either.
Well, see, this is the beauty of this argument. I love it when they say it, or we say it, and they say, "Yeah, what's wrong with that? The bending of space time." And I go, "Well, can you demonstrate it for me?"
Yeah, but a clock is not time. It's just an instrument to measure time.
Well, time is measured based on the sun's movement and 24, 15 degrees per hour movements. That's how it's set to.
Yep.
So now, how do you manipulate that, let alone time, a convention? How do you bend it? How do you bend time?
Didn't I just cover this? You don't. Bending concepts. You can't bend love. You can't dilate freedom. These are concepts.
Only
Well,
you
what
can
about
only
what about
Did you guys forget that the next evolution of the balls in a shed? Balls on a sheet. There you go.
there was a song, "Love Is in the Air." Is that true?
I guess.
Love is in the air.
I know air is in the air. I
I
don't know.
think love is in our being. I mean, we can feel it on other people, but does that mean it's literally in the air? No. I think it falls in the emotional information category.
Are you reaching for a kumbaya moment? Yes. I love you guys.
Well, the cause of gravity in that paradigm isn't even curved space-time. It's density distribution. So even in that canard, they have to admit that it's all about density.
Uh-oh. It's been like a bad word lately.
Oh, Rog.
Yeah, which is fair, but it's kind of irrelevant because even if you accept that paradigm, you don't need a globe Earth for that paradigm, of curved space-time to be true. It works perfectly fine on a flat Earth, just like Newtonian gravity works perfectly fine on a flat Earth. Gravity, I mean, for them, they make it like a coup de grace, like it's all important to our globe, but it's really not. It works in both paradigms quite well.
Gravity. What's that?
Oh, yeah, we just went through this, Chocolate. You're a latecomer. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
What's a hypothesis first?
The establishment
you
of a
guys don't get
presumed
it.
cause of a natural phenomena you're trying to study in nature?
So you observe a phenomenon and then you form a hypothesis to see the cause and effect for it?
Well, formulating a hypothesis when you've got half of it, which is the phenomena, dependent variable, would be to assume a cause. That's an independent variable, which you'll then vary to see if it causes it. That's an experiment.
All right. So if the stars are moving and you see movement of the stars, that's your dependent variable, right?
Yeah.
And then the next thing is you form a hypothesis and you say, I think this is the cause of it. I'm going to go manipulate it. And that would be the independent variable.
Yeah.
And what would you manipulate if that was the case?
The thing that you think is going to cause the effect. Your not presupposed, your assumed cause of the effect. A in the hypothesis. If A, then B. So if this, which I think will cause the effect I'm studying, when varied, will cause the effect you're studying. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. So I think Chocolate posted a video of a drone that lifted off and hovered in place. So it's off the Earth that's supposedly moving to cause what appears to be the stars moving, but the stars kept moving. What would that prove?
No. If you were to put it into a hypothesis.
Well, it's pretty enough simple test to see if the Earth is in the hypothesis, the Earth is spinning, so that's what gives us stars that appear to move. Just get off the Earth and see if the stars appear to move.
That's spooky though, isn't it? Why would we have to get off the Earth to see if the stars move? But why don't we just see if the Earth moves?
Well,
Let's try that.
well, the hypothesis could be both. It could be that one or the other one. But how do you stop the Earth from moving to see if it's the Earth is causing the movement?
Well, whether the Earth is moving or not, it's not really a hypothesis type question, right? It's like a what is. Is it moving or not? It's not a cause and effect.
No, I see stars moving, and I'm a flat earther, and I got a glober next to me. He thinks it's the Earth spinning. Okay, and so then I say, all right, we see something. It's a dependent variable, falls exactly into that position of a phenomenon that we observe occurring naturally in nature. And my hypothesis is, I think that the stars are moving and the Earth is stationary. And yours is the Earth is moving, and that's why stars seem to move. So all I have to do is get off the Earth and hover, not being in the Earth that's spinning anymore, and see if the stars stop spinning.
Well, since other guy has the claim, I'll just let him work that out, because if I see the stars moving, I just look and say, hey, look, stars moving. What does that have to do with the ground that I'm on? Nothing. So if he's got a claim, he can go ahead and validate it all he wants. Thanks.
That was pretty good, Tom.
But hold on.
I mean, sorry, Chuck. What
Didn't you
you said
guys
was pretty
heard?
good too.
Didn't you guys heard you and your reference frames have been ruined?
Yeah, we heard that, but the point is I can make a positive claim and prove it. They can make a positive claim and can't prove it.
How are you going to qualify turning?
15 degrees an hour, east to west. What I'm observing as a natural phenomenon.
What's turning again?
Right. So
I'm saying the stars are moving 15 degrees an hour. They're saying the Earth is moving 15 degrees an hour. So they got the Earth to manipulate, and I've got somehow get up in the air and destroy their claim that the Earth is spinning to cause that effect.
but for the Earth to turn, you need to be able to measure a radius
Correct.
to claim the 15 degrees an hour.
Correct. But that's the first argument in the pre-show and early on that destroys everything, and I'm with you. I stick to that. But if it ever got to this, this is good to know.
I think that concludes the housekeeping. I think we've done everything right.
Yes, I think you did.
Cool.
Yeah, once you take a headshot on the globe Earth, it's dead. There's no R. It's over. Everything else they say, like John just said, it's over because you ain't got R. You need R to do all the stuff. So Black Swan, go for that. Learn that argument real well inside and out. I mean, imagine sitting next to someone, a normie, or someone like that who you can have a discussion with and say, look, I know it sounds crazy, but is it too much of me to ask to see the radius of the Earth so that I could believe it's a sphere with a radius of 3959? I mean, how did they get that? How come I never experienced curvature, whether I'm in an airplane at 35,000 feet or on the shoreline or on top of a mountain? I never see that. And according to the geometry of the globe, it's got to be at certain distances based on your height. So it's easy to check to see if we've been lied to or it actually exists. And I've done the checking and I can't find R. And then you're going to laugh at me?
Well, they just have to come up with a measurement that we can debunk that we haven't already, because obviously all of them are going to come from flat plane, aren't they?
Well, I'm just talking to a normie because most people are programmed. They're not students of the subject matter. They're not trolls who know how to do what Arwen does better than they do. Obfuscate, fallacious reasoning. We're not dealing mainly with those people on an everyday basis. I'm not. So for them, It's like pose a question, ask a question, be sincere, and say, I'll believe in the globe today if you can prove to me that at a 1-foot observer height, we can see the geometric horizon and where Earth curvature begins, where the bottom of boats and buildings disappear. That's the claim. Back the claim. Normie's got nothing because they just been told, they've been programmed to respond. Oh, you're one of those flat earthers. Well, that's great. Call me that after you back the claim. Can you back your claim? Now you got them on the spot because they don't know how to back that claim. They've just been spouting off what they've heard. Then one deck pulls out 200 euros and says, this is yours if you can show it to me.
One way of stopping having the argument. Are you there, One Deck? No, he's not. So One Deck explained that he was on holiday, and rather than going through the discussion of having a semi-debate with a stranger about Earth being flat, he said, I'll tell you what, we'll have a 200 quid bet on it, and if you can come back with a viable reason for Earth being a sphere, then I'll give you 200 bucks. However, if I can debunk it, you give me 200. The conversation never progressed.
That would have to be psychologically damaging for a normal person to think that they can't prove something like that.
I think so. I mean,
John,
you base your life on knowing and not having to care about it, and then suddenly something that you didn't necessarily think you'd have to concern yourself with is something that you've based a whole worldview on, but isn't right, and then you've got to concern yourself with it. And I think that's probably, you can go two ways with that as well. You can either go, well, who cares? What difference does it make? In other words, you haven't really assessed what's actually happened, the scale of the lie that you've just been told. Or, you find it deeply, deeply offensive to you personally. I'm talking both flat Earth anti-flat Earth scenarios, by the way.
Yeah, with the one with the why does it matter? Well, why would they lie to us if it didn't matter? That just doesn't make sense to say that it doesn't matter.
No, they say that because they don't have any strong arguments, and they feel like if they enter the conversation with you, they're going to lose badly. So it's an easy out. I've heard that so many times now. I said, so lying doesn't matter? I do what you just said. I said, so lying doesn't matter? Then why do they lie? But John, you're one of very few people, if not the only one I know, that challenged professional anti-flat earthers and said you would concede everything and still win the argument. And you were also the only one that turned your kitchen floor, which was flat, into a sphere. Can you please go through the steps to which you took to make your kitchen a sphere and just break it down for us?
Well, the first step is you got to measure it flat and acquire an elevation angle to something on your ceiling, right? And you do the same thing with heliocentrism. I mean, it's pretty much just, they laid out the template. I just did it in my kitchen, and took the same assumptions. Then you got to have a known distance from the zenith of the point you measured to the point you measured from, and that'll then you just presuppose the arc of that angle is actually the shape of the floor you're standing on.
It's not the same without the voices of the hippos or whatever they were. So back in the day, John did a little short video where he had a couple of puppets pointing out how you can derive how would you phrase this? A globe Earth. How did you do it? Did you do it as a model? Or did you just do it as a derivation of R? I forget, it's a while back.
I did it as a. I didn't never model it. No, I just used the math to formulate my kitchen as a sphere.
Right. So you can take the flat Earth,
Yeah.
as in
If you-
scale down
if
to
you-
your kitchen and make it spherical, with the same methodology they use to turn the flat Earth that we stand upon into a sphere.
Yeah, if you start on the floor, you measure the level first, establish the horizontal plane, and then you climb on top of a chair. Now you're going to measure that declination angle to the ground. Now that you have this straight line, you're going to draw a circle around yourself, and you have a radius. So there you go. You turn your kitchen floor into a sphere.
Yeah, and the radius of my
We took
kitchen.
the assumption, didn't we, that we used flat Earth angles to a luminary. In this case, it was John's kitchen light, but we took those flat Earth angles and did the same as what the ball earthers do, which is to reinterpret that angle as a function of distance and reinterpret it as a function of Earth curvature. So any angular change was literally an effect of Earth curvature as opposed to a function of distance.
Yeah, and then I took Proto-Thad's debunking of a flat Earth and applied it to my kitchen, and it worked just as solid in my kitchen, proving my kitchen couldn't be flat by his methodology.
You ever played that video to your kids?
Yeah, they think it's hilarious.
Presumably they're not getting the underlying point, they're just getting the funny puppets, right?
My 10-year-old looked at me side-eyed. He said, "I thought you said you didn't believe the Earth was flat." And I said, "I don't believe the Earth is flat." And I left it at that.
Fair enough.
Adam, you're still there? Hello, Adam.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, dudes. I'm just I'm delivery
problem.
driver today. So if you keep it, I don't know if you could hear there the sat nav talking over me.
No,
Like
you're
now.
fine. No, you're fine. Let me ask you a question about distance. So they pre-assume the distance, and that's how they do it. Can you elaborate what you mean by that?
No, they assume that an angular change, yeah, in terms of from a celestial object or anything, or in this case, the kitchen light, that angular change is not a function of distance from the GP of the luminary. It's solely a function of the curvature. So the distance is irrelevant. It's your orientation that's changing the angle to it, i.e. the Earth is curving. That's how they assume that. Now, if you apply that same theology that they used to build the ball to John's kitchen, you can demonstrate that John's kitchen is curved by mathematical manipulation and reinterpretation of what the angle means. Make sense?
Yeah, so basically the storyline for Eratosthenes is that he assumed the Earth to be a sphere. He measured the shadow of a stick, and since he assumed the Earth to be a sphere, it's because of the curvature. And these but he's got an elevation angle which makes the Earth flat. So it's nonsense.
It is a special kind of madness that has gripped the world.
No, we said this in the pre-show before you got here, John. It's more that they know what people are going to ask questions about, and if you can provide them with the answers at a very early age, they won't be asking those questions going forward, will they? What's the point in asking them?
Well, even like astronomers, like I would hate to think that all astronomers are liars, but they've been fooled by the same trick that fooled children, and it's just they've never questioned it.
Well, when you're sold this paradigm and you live within the model and it's constantly barraged through Hollywood and everything else, then fields that deal with Earth and all that, all those science departments at university and all, they can make all of it work in the math, in the calculations. It doesn't make it real. And they believe it because they got the math to back it up. Except when you ask for R at 1 foot high, when it should be 1.2 miles, and it's not. Then it falls apart.
Yeah, my kitchen's geometric horizon is way more valid than the Earth. So.
Well, okay, this is a good segue to your
you have to
second
believe
point.
the premise. You have to believe the premise in the first instance. It's like if you tell someone you have $1 million in your bank account, you can do all kinds of math to support that. But if they don't believe it, then the math isn't going to convince them it's true.
Yeah. So, John, your second point was you took on anti-flat earthers and said, I will concede to everything you've got. Why'd you do that, and why were you so confident?
Well, before you can assert it's a sphere or presuppose it's a sphere, you have to measure it flat. Everybody does that. It's as fundamental to the globe as it is to flat earthers.
So how did you see the argument going in your mind before the actual argument when you set it up that way? Because you're the one who set it up.
In there on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
What John's just said there. Nathan's asked us in the week to get that Australian thing with the Canary Wharf measurement replication of that upper Rooney. And you see in her reaction there, reality dawn, and the implications and the embarrassment of the implications as she realizes as a clever mathematician that you are obtaining this from a flat baseline, which is fundamentally against the whole premises of what you're doing. Just to give that, I've not watched the video, Nate, but that you've made, but that to me is a point that's worth reiterating because it's absolutely the whole point and how devastating it is, and to watch that mathematician see her realise. I thought that's a really good thing, and underpins how devastating an argument that is. Even if it does seem, oh wow, it's always, it doesn't matter, but it's mathematically it's devastating as an argument.
Don't you have a short, Nathan, you could play for us?
I don't really know what video he's referencing, so
The one that I sent you the link to, where the two people are showing Al Biruni measuring the mountain on the sketchboard.
Oh, you mean my video with
the
a
one with the
stupidly
nice
long
lady.
title? That's the video you mean, isn't it? The one about Red Rhetoric and Bob, the science guy. Is that what you're talking about? Yes, Nathan.
Yeah, well, that one in with the mathematician doing the calculations to figure out R, and using Al Biruni's method, where she, like I said, realizes the mathematical contradiction she's making in doing it.
Right. Okay, I'll dig that out. Yeah, it was only recently published, so it shouldn't be too difficult to find. Just give me a couple of seconds.
Yeah, that was really good, Adam, because I picked on that. She was blushing almost, right?
Well, that's the point of concession. That's the point that you don't argue past. It's over. They're conceding. Why would you argue further?
Yeah, agreed. Well, I beg the question.
Well, they kind of mutter it, don't they?
Yeah, it's kind of like the hee don't pay attention to this part.
And he says, yes, we'll have to concede it. And then he immediately says, oh, but I retract that. As in, I retract the notion that it's flat. And you're like, well, yeah, you might want to say that you're retracting that, but now you're measuring an angle. So it's not like you're going to get away with it. It is flat. you're measuring it flat. That's how it's done.
If he truly conceded that it wasn't flat, he would not have continued to measure the angle, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, if he was like, no, I'm not going to accept that we're going to be measuring this flat. It's like, well, find a method that you measure it spherical then, because that's what you're doing.
He might not want to ask Zanuck. Zanuck will tell him, hey, I use the flat plane first. Thanks, Zanuck.
Yeah.
They all do.
You know,
Yeah, that's John's point. Whether you want to push the globe or you say Earth's a irregular plane, all the measurements are elevation angle measurements. You need a baseline.
I'm just going to assume the Earth is spherical. So say you've got a mountain here. So this is what you want, right? You want the radius of the Earth there. Okay. We're close enough to the shot that the Earth could be flat.
Gotcha. Like the Nathan Oakleys of the world, they agree that mountains exist, correct?
That was the question that faced Al-Biruni, who was an Arab scientist charged with finding the radius of the Earth.
I'm just going to assume the Earth is spherical. So say you've got a mountain here. So this is what you want, right? You want the radius of the Earth there. Okay. We're close enough to the shard that the Earth could be flat.
We're close enough to the shard that the Earth could be flat. That was her statement. In other words, we're going to say that because we're near to it, we'll measure it flat. Why? You're getting a radius value for a spherical surface. Don't do anything flat. Do it from the sphere that you're obviously standing on, because that's what you're claiming you measure. Oh, no, you didn't, did you? You didn't claim you were measuring it. Let's just see what she did do.
I'm just going to assume the Earth is spherical. So say
We'll just assume the Earth's spherical, draw out a big circle and say we're getting our value, and then we'll start measuring a flat plane to get it. That's what she does.
you've got a mountain here. So this is what you want, right? You want the radius of the Earth there. Okay. We're close enough to the shot that the Earth could be flat.
Because that's how we'll have to measure it, because we're doing this with angles. So it has to be flat. Not that you're close enough to do it flat. It is. There you go. Played.
Devastating.
There's also quite an amusing bit right at the end. I'll just play the last couple of seconds just because it's quite amusing.
It's observably flat and motionless. So just to be clear, Nathan Oakley does or does not believe in mountains?
Yeah, just to clear it up, yeah, it's not a belief. Mountains are real. They're measured flat. Al-Biruni got your R value from measuring it flat. The height thereof, as demonstrated by this lady here, when she assumes Earth's a sphere and then proceeds to measure it flat.
How would
Say
you
you've got a
ever
mountain here.
measure?
Go on.
How would you?
Go on, John. Go.
How would you ever measure the height of something relative to something else without a flat plane to measure it from?
You can't.
I don't even. Right.
It's impossible.
You don't. That's not what they do either. They measure it flat. They build on it flat. They navigate it flat. Earth is flat.
Well, that's what I said to the guy in chat yesterday, too. I don't want to hear about it. I want you to do celestial navigation from your sphere. Don't take me to the center of the Earth. Do it from your sphere.
Well, that's an impossibility because the zenith of the object, say the sun in this case, that's 90 degree, and the zenith of the observer, 3,000 miles, is a 90 degree. Because you end up minusing, or subtracting, should I say, the angle, elevation angle measurement from 90. So the whole point is, that's zenith position is coming directly, it's like a plumb bob. You're right there on the Earth. And it's referenced to a horizontal to even have that. So that radius distance in the circle of equal altitude is a straight line of 3,000 miles. There's no diverging zenith, as Brian pointed out. It's impossible. But on the globe, you would have to have diverging zeniths all meeting at the center of the supposed sphere that these people are assuming. And yet, even in their illustrations, the angle is measured from the equatorial plane, the center of a presupposed globe, because they cut it in half and make a disk. And so you have your 90 right there.
I don't want that. I want it from the surface of the Earth, their Earth, not ours, their spherical Earth.
They can't, Neil. The books all
It's
come
the
from the
same
equatorial
difference.
plane. Sorry, Chaco.
It's the same difference. It's like abracadabra. I say equatorial plane. That actually means the surface.
That's right.
That's what the hell they're talking about.
No, sorry.
Yes.
No,
Brian here.
Neil, you're missing it.
Hold on, it's Brian
Yes.
here. You can go through how they utilise Polaris in that regard if he is. No, he's not. Carry on.
No, I think Neil's missing it because Chocolate's saying here is
No, I'm
their
not missing it.
measurements. No, listen, please. Their measurements in the almanac are all originating from the equatorial plane, which is at the center of the Earth. It's never coming from the surface. So when you say do it from the surface, they don't even do that.
That's my point. They can't. So I don't want to hear their nonsense. I know exactly what's going on.
Well, then you just point out that their measurements is coming from a flat plane, and that's what's going on.
On the surface.
Yeah. On
Yeah,
the surface.
I say that because it's an impossibility. They can't do it from their curved surface. I don't want to hear all their other nonsense. I don't want to be cutting the Earth in half. No.
Well, the cutting in half thing is actually more of a reference back to the celestial sphere model, isn't it? So two flat planes with the sky view represented as a dome sandwiched on top of each other is just two flat planes sandwiched on top of each other. Antipodal flat
Why
planes.
are they always, hold on, why are they always using flat?
Because you've got to.
From a sphere.
That's how it is. You can't do it any other way.
Oh dear.
Listen, man, you work with what you got, right? If you got a flat plane that you're gonna measure from, that's what you work with. Because if you had a sphere, you just have a sphere, and we wouldn't have to talk about the flat plane and the non-sphere. So
There we go, back to Santiago.
As time progresses,
So,
more and more
yeah.
things that we discuss, or have discussed as time went by, will be shown to directly relate to the flat plane that we're actually working with, because it can't not be. Now, I knew this a couple of years ago, but it's interesting when someone like Red Rhetoric suddenly gets put under my nose, not because I watch Red Rhetoric, but because, in this case, Paul, the guy who bought the computer, sent it to me. He's like, check this out with Bev Try Thinking, talking about mountains with Red Rhetoric. So you have a little listen and you go, oh, how ironic. Memory serves me correctly, where it was left off between Reds and myself was me asking him where he got the R value from. And now he's asking if Nathan believes in mountains. What, the one that you got your R value from? See, everything always will link back to a flat plane, Red Rhetoric. So you asking whether or not I believe in mountains to hold up some shitty straw man about Earth being completely flat like a pancake? Yeah, that's not going to serve you very well when Al Biruni's using mountains measured flat to get the R value you didn't answer me about last time we had an interaction, Reds. You haven't got an R value. It's what you assumed last time we talked. Now we're pointing out that it's not just that you assume it off the bat. When you claim to measure it, you're using a flat plane to measure it. Is it just me, or has it all gone very silent?
No, it did go silent until you just
I
spoke.
lost you for a while.
And
I
my
thought it
thing
was
fell
me.
off for a little bit.
No, you went away and it was silent until you just talked.
Oh, I thought
think
it was
I
me.
think I was
Just
on
losing
mute when I was
internet.
supposed to. I thought I was talking then, but obviously nothing was coming through. I looked up and I was still on mute.
Nathan, why would anyone accuse you, who believes the Earth is an irregular plane with valleys, mountains, lakes, sea, the whole thing, of not believing in mountains? Why would that even come up?
I guess some crappy straw man about Earth being completely flat, as in like flat as a two-dimensional drawing is flat, when obviously we've got topology, but some crappy straw man that Red Rhetoric doesn't change the irony, which is what I was talking about 30 seconds ago, but I'll repeat myself because I was on mute. The irony that last time Red Rhetoric and I interacted with each other, I was asking him where he got his R value from, because it was just begged. It was assumed. It wasn't something that they were declaring their measurement for. Now we're pointing out that where there is a claim of a measurement of an R value, it's come from a flat plane. The only actual measurement being done is done on a flat plane. Oh, the irony.
Yeah, I think he missed out on a lot.
It always comes back to flat, right?
He's just holding up some crappy straw man that he wants to ask Bev about. It's like, well, you can ask me. I've got an open show. You can just come and ask me. And there's a link to all available daily if you want to ask about whether or not I believe in mountains. Of course, it would be far more interesting when I asked you about the mountain Alberuni measured flat for your R value. See if you've got any alternatives that come from spherical measurements. There aren't. I'll just pre-advise you of the situation before you even think about asking me about whether or not mountains are real, whether or not I believe in them. Yeah, I believe you've got a mountain measured by Alberuni, and it was measured flat in order for you to claim you've got an R value measurement. Maybe you'd like to address that, Reds. Doors open daily.
Hold on. You said you have an open door.
Nah.
Right? And the answer I've been getting from people in chat is, oh, we've already been there and we annihilated Nathan within 30 seconds and we constantly get muted. So it's the same thing over and over again.
Sorry, hold on. They said they annihilated me with questions and then mentioned being muted. Didn't they go through the questions that they annihilated me with, as opposed to saying that they've got questions, then talking about a format? If you rumpus a rebuttal, you'll get shut down pretty quickly in here. Yeah, that's right. This happens to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a flat earther or a glober. If you talk shit, expect pain. However, if Red Rhetoric wants to specifically ask others that aren't me about me, when there's an open door, that shows deep cowardice. I don't give a crap about Reds. I'm not asking random people about what Reds thinks. I know what he thinks. I've interacted with him. He didn't have an R value last time we interacted. And he hasn't got one now, but he's asking other people about what I think about my belief for mountains. You've got your R value from Alberuni measuring a mountain off a flat plane. Now, Bev was too stupid to understand this argument, which is why he said it was a nonsensical statement. He just didn't understand the argument. AKA thick as shit. So just because Bev doesn't understand that Alberuni measured the mountain off a flat plane to get the height to give you your R value, violating his first measurement. Now, I understand that argument. Bev didn't. He thought it was nonsensical. Just stupid. You hear me, Bev, you thicko? You don't understand these arguments. You're just not as advanced as we are. You understood that I said it was measured flat, and that's about all you could remember, because you didn't actually look into the argument. Therefore, you look like a complete prick in front of Red's rhetoric, talking about me, because Red's too big a coward to come and ask me himself, because he's got a fascination with me, so much so that he wants to ask third parties about me. Me, on the other hand, I don't give a crap about Reds. I think he's thick. Like, really stupid. That's all I think about him. I don't concern myself with what he thinks, to the point where I'll ask Bev about him. But he will, when I've got an open door. Right, coward? You could just come and ask me. However, you know the outcome. Right, you'll get muted. No, you'll come with your 30 questions to annihilate me, won't you? Which one is it? Pathetic excuse or 30 really good questions you've got to annihilate me with? Yeah, we all know the answer, don't we?
Yeah, Red's rhetoric. John, Refracted Curvature was asking a question the other day about who's the one that was saying, well, we got to figure out what we're on first. That was Charles, by the way.
He means I've got to figure out a way of begging the question Earth's a sphere before we move forward. It doesn't mean we're going to work it out.
Right.
Work it out what, measure it? No, you'll be doing that flat.
That was Charles, though, the supposed school teacher, is he?
Yes, Charles, flat Earth math.
No, that's apropos to the concept of measuring a flat angle, right? Because so when he went on to McToon's and he explained to McToon how you would get an angle from a curved line by setting up 2 points and creating a straight line, not a curved line, getting an angle from that straight line. McToon proved he was right in the end by demonstrating how it was done. The thing about McToon's example is that McToon presented a known curved line. The evidence of it being curved was self-evident because you could see it in its totality. They don't have that with their alleged presumed globe. They just assume it so. They haven't proved it's a curved line by showing you it's a curved line in the first instance, which we talked about the other day, where they have a first cause or a proto-fallacy, where their beginning is flawed. It's all a big circle of assumptions that supposedly support each other, but it's just a web of basically logical fallacies.
Right. That was exactly where I left off with Reds last time we interacted. Or to be more accurate, he interacted with me. I reacted to his interest in me. Like his current interest in me, prevailing.
Well, that's the beautiful part of the sextant argument that we use when you're not using the sea horizon with the Mariner sextant, you're using a bubble sextant or an artificial horizon in a pan filled with mercury. And what you're doing is you're assuming a horizontal at your eye line to get the 90 and to get your angle. So now the omission is in the whole thing that if you need to use a bubble sextant and you have a fictitious horizontal, and if the Mariner at sea did the same time standing next to the guy with the bubble sextant on the seashore, but he's doing it with the sea horizon, he'd have the same exact angle and everything, and an almanac will match, which means the sea is as flat as that horizontal that they use at their eye line, straight all the way to the GP, the star or sun. It's the biggest omission there is.
Absolutely. With that, before bidding you all farewell, I'm going to give a little public service announcement to Red's Rhetoric. If you want to know how I feel about mountains, the door's open. You can just come and ask. But with that, I'll say a first and foremost huge, massive, enormous thank you to both G+ and Gilded for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, however, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Obviously, a massive thank you to all of you liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and tuning in live. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day! I know Chocolate doesn't want to hear about it.
Well, I know that why they don't come to the show and challenge Nathan on mountains anymore. They don't want this to be the hill that they die on.
I knew it. I knew it.
You were saying?
No, I was asking if you heard anything from the other side. I know you keep in contact with what's it? I don't know if you still do or what's going on over there. But any have they defined electrostatics and things like that? You know, the stuff we've been asking for.
I don't know. I haven't been involved with conversations about that.
You need to go to Flatsoid's
okay.
channel. Flatsoid's the one keeping abreast of it, generally speaking. So the last stream I saw him moaning about Jaren's emails to him, calling him a scammer and swearing at him, rather than addressing the points. And Flatsoid's a pretty laid-back guy. He's not exactly that antagonistic. He just knows what he knows, right? And he's just pointing it out. And I could tell by his tone, although I haven't kept up with every single interaction that Flatsoid's disseminating on his live streams with Jaren. Not the live streams, the interactions. He's clearly trying to help him. He's taking the same attitude I took with Bob Nodell about 4 years ago, which is, no, I'm trying to help you out, mate. I'm trying to point out where you've made a mistake. Just hear me out. I'll help you to understand where you've made this mistake. And he's just got sworn at and called a scammer. Sound familiar?
Wow.
No, the Flatsoid's done with them based on what I saw last. He's through trying. He says, I'm done with these guys because they're just closed-minded. They're switching the argument based on things I've seen lately. They're playing the victim. They're saying things that wasn't true. First of all, people brought it to our show and we dealt with it, other people. Then they brought it to our show and we dealt with it. And they lost that dealing situation real bad. So all they could do is cry foul and victimhood. And then that's where we're at, unfortunately.
Let's just ask Creation Bear a quick question. You haven't carried on streaming this in 24/7, have you? It's just otherwise my members will be a bit pissed if they're paying to get it in. Then...
Not right now.
Thank you.
Just the live show.
Perfect. I thought that was the case. I just couldn't be bothered to check. I'm lazy.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, Creation Bear. I think that people need to see more of direct content rather than hear about it. You know, thank you for doing that.
No problem. Yeah, I was just told to ask for permission, so just wanted to do that first.
No, I'm glad that you asked. Most people wouldn't. They'd just do it.
I'd like to share a video to be played.
Is it yours?
No, it's some guy explaining, talking about like positions, getting a satellite's position and all of that. It's a very short clip, but it's not the whole video. It's just what I screen captured.
Fair enough. Chuck it in Master B if you can.
Yep.
Masturbators.
Is that on purpose? That name?
I think that was the original name I gave it, and then it changed to Master D, and then Master B, and then various other different names.
It's Mass Debaters. We're a debate show.
Yeah, don't be so dirty-minded.
Come on now.
Right, masturbators. Yes.
For the record, 10th Man does not approve.
It's all in your mind.
I come here for flat earth debate.
When I gave it that title, I had no idea that that particular chat would end up being basically FED back office. Now, there is another Skype chat called FED back office, but that isn't used. It's the most popular one that's used, which is Mass Debaters.
Well, if you're going to pun and have a play on words, it fits perfect, but we are a debate show.
What are you trying to say? We're all wankers?
No.
But we're applying NASA techniques, right? So they use giant phallic objects
come
that are
on.
rocketed off to bind people's attention. We use mass debaters. It's totally true, yet it still has that little nudge to keep us bound.
Until you realize there's never really been a debate.
That's correct.
Yes, I just have to close my...
That's why we're mass debating, because there's nothing else to do.
No, because the show is condescending. It's enough to see Amazon trucks go by. We don't
Did you
need
say
this.
condescending?
God.
I'll give you my address. I need some.
It's getting gross.
He's getting upset. All right, let's keep it PG.
It's like 6th grade. I mean, you guys haven't grown up.
Okay, guys, can we just hear this clip? Can we hear the clip? Hello? Hello?
Let's say the satellite or the spacecraft is moving straight away from you. You're not going to be able to get position information immediately if it's on that line, okay?
So did you want to give us a bit of a warm-up, just so I can break the video up?
No, that unless you have to. Okay, so basically, it's just what he says and also what he diagrams. And it's just like in celestial navigation, they kind of dismiss it. But when you hear him talking, you can see him, like in his mind, he's going through like that cognitive dissonance thing. Like, I know what I'm explaining here, but it's actually more advanced. It's something else. It's not exactly what I'm showing you. But for simple purposes and for all we need to get this information, we could just assume that it's a play.
Okay, let's have a listen to the rest.
To get position information, what you can do is, for example, you can, let's say the satellite, here's the ground, this is the Earth, it's drawn.
Let's do that again.
And let's say the satellite, here's the ground, this is the Earth, it's drawn flat here just because it's easier to draw that way. But what
it's drawn flat because it's easier? But surely, surely it would be
the muddling.
Surely it'd be easier.
To get position information, what you can do is, for example, you can, let's say the satellite, here's the ground, this is the Earth, it's drawn flat here just because it's easier to draw that way.
So this is what you want, right? You want the radius of the Earth. Okay. We're close enough to the shot that the Earth can be flat.
Isn't that a funny coincidence? They're all doing it. Taking elevation angle measurements from flat planes.
With little giggly sound effects. So funny, huh?
Stuttering and hesitating and making their weaselly disclaimers for how they must do it flat. Good catch.
It's a little secret pleasure.
That was worthy of the live show, by the way. Oh well.
No, chocolate's right.
I was
They're
trying to get
laughing.
in. I missed it. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That was definitely live show worthy. I think I'll keep that under our belt for another time.
Listen,
Well,
chocolate's right. They're laughing. There's a reason why they're laughing. They got to keep us, in the public's mind, like we're the dumb ones. We're being laughed at. When
Right, it's
they're
a
being
little
laughed
secret
at.
pleasure. They know something about it, right?
That's that thin line between nonsense and what their narrative actually is, which is nonsense, right? Because they have to laugh. We're just gonna draw it out flat, right? Now they know there's no reason why you should be drawing it out flat if it's not that. But they have to do that in order to do whatever mathematical equations they have to do. So it's a self-concession every time, which is why you're getting the little cute giggles like, it's fine. Yeah, it's awesome.
I think
It's
it's the
gonna
other
get
way.
tougher,
Paula?
Glovers.
While they're talking about elevation angles.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to yell at my wife off mute.
Well,
Well, listen,
good. Shout out to Paula.
That was Paula, right?
No, that was me yelling, Paula, because I wanted to know if my eldest daughter wanted to play on a computer game.
Wow, because the one Eli played, it sounded like Paula. I was like, is this Paula?
Speaking of, can Paula, if you can hear me, can
No,
you,
she can't. She
how do
can't
I
even
get
hear
in
me.
contact? No, not your wife, the other Paula.
I think he knows.
Go on, Eli.
Yeah, I was just trying to get in contact with Paula because she made some sentiments about the Earth. I mean the angles to the sun and the idea that it's an A model where the sun is like circling overhead. I think I vaguely remember her having a video, and I would just like that video.
Let's say the satellite or the spacecraft is moving straight away from you, you're not going to be able to get position information immediately if it's on that line, okay? To get position information, what you can do is, for example, you can, let's say the satellite, here's the ground, this is the Earth, it's drawn flat here just because it's easier to draw that way. But what will happen is the satellite will come over the horizon and it'll
I don't know about you guys.
to be
I
done.
just heard satellites pretty much won't work unless it's flat.
Yep.
Yeah, you're talking
Well-
about angles to them.
Yeah, because look, they read these signals, how long the signal takes. That has to do with like our communications and how they run smooth and work and all that. You can't do that if you can't get a position, which you need to do using elevation angle.
Yep. Thanks, lady.
Oh dear.
You like that, Neil? I was tired of people talking about GPS, and I was like, well, let me see what's going on here.
That's kind of how it is. The more they talk about something, the more we look into it and find out it's not what they say it is.
Yeah, that's why I say it's just going to get worse. Because the more they talk about it, the more the worse it's going to get. Like,
Yeah, he was. So I was having a conversation because I don't debate these dudes. There's nothing to debate. I was having a conversation, and the guys like I've heard often that, oh, you need the radius of the Earth for GPS. And the thing about that is, like, I don't know if that's a justifiable statement. Like, and all I kept saying was, well, I need them to show me the math in the diagrams and whatever they have in order for me to say that they're doing that. Like, and I don't feel good that I don't, because they keep saying that it has nothing to do with the radius, and I need to know what it has to do with. Sure enough, doesn't have anything to do with the globe. It just has to do with elevation angle measurements, apparently, and the satellites that utilize the flat Earth model, which is generally okay according to NASA, because for a lot of their information they use the flat Earth model. I could get you that too if you want, right off the website.
That's not suspect at all.
No, that checks out.
Yay! I want to hear the poem with the wrangle dangle, the sextant angle. Where's my man's at? One day.
Yeah, man.
Any new poetry?
Not the Horizon one. Did they do the Horizon one? I think I did that one. All Eyes on Me.
Yeah, that was a good one.
2-pack.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read it. Me.
But can you do the angle one?
Which yeah, man, I can do the angle one. Is that the I'm just trying to find it now. I'll find it and then I'll
The one where the wrangle dangle with the angle or something like that.
I'll find it in a minute.
See, you got to get with 10th and get how he keeps his notes.
I got I've got jumping the gun. Stop jumping the gun and skipping past angles. That's going to create you a big sextant tangle. The horizon is not a physical location. Just read the books and try to be patient. The sextant to 0 degrees. The flat baseline that we will need. So stop jumping the gun and skipping past angles. You're going to get up in the sextant triangle. It's after the angle that corrections are done, not before. Stop jumping the gun. It is corrected after the angle to give us what we need, that 90 triangle. Stop jumping the gun and skipping past angles. You're going to end up in the sextant tangle. Please stop chanting all your lies. The angle comes first. Surprise, surprise. Just one place you don't want to be. It's in the sextant web Mr. 10th has nicely weaved. So stop jumping the gun and skipping past angles, or you're all going to end up in the sextant tangle.
Very good.
You know what? That would be an excellent. Sorry, that would be an excellent like short, like as that's reading. Somebody EQ it up and all that. You have like just a host of 10th man slides. That'd be a nice short.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Sounds like a job for you, Eli.
Speaking of 10th man slides, Nathan, can you go to Master D?
Yes.
All right. Do you see the first one? Well, there's a bunch of things that came in between. You'll have to skip those.
Angle, starting with the angle to the sun, right?
The first one is after Michael's message, drawn flat, 8:15 my time.
Don't skip past the angle, 10th.
Drawn flat after Michael's message.
Yeah, it's an angle
Got it.
of elevation. Yeah. All right. So since we're talking about this, and since everything's coming from a flat baseline, here's Q math showing the observer, and it looks like half a circle, half a dingleberry is drawn here, but the angle definitely needs that B horizontal line. Okay, next slide. This one shows sunrise to sunset, the angles. And it tells you exactly where the zenith position is when it's directly overhead. So that'd be a 90. All the other ones, you minus from 90. So that you can figure out your zenith distance. The complement altitude. Next one. Here they don't even draw the dingleberry. They draw a square, flat plane. The sun's got its zenith position. Where you see up is the zenith position of the observer. And the angle between the two, you subtract from 90. Next one, you see a ship on the dingleberry. But here they got it with a bubble sextant, which ships don't use at sea. And they got a horizontal reference plane to get their angle from. Next, here you got the North Celestial Pole, the South Celestial Pole from the celestial sphere model. You've got the grid lines for longitude, latitude that match exactly the grid lines for longitude,
Hold on, am I on the wrong
Earth.
slide? Horizontal reference plane, light from body, visible horizon.
This one you'll see the North Celestial Pole on the top and the celestial sphere drawn.
Oh, the globe burger. We're on the globe burger. Okay, we're on the globe burger.
You see the Earth in the middle with the green declination angle?
Yes, we're on the right slide now.
All right, so let me start again just so people get it. So you got the celestial sphere model, which is an exact projection of their globe Earth with longitude, latitude lines, as you see, that match the model. Then you've got the angle coming from the center where the equatorial plane is, and you could see you can get an angle there because that's where a vertex could happen because it's the baseline is flat. It's a plane. Next slide shows you exactly what the Nautical Almanac is trying to portray to everyone. Everything you do on the surface of the Earth, which is actually the same as the equatorial plane, they say it's as if your eyes were at the center of the Earth, and you could see the zenith position coming right through the head of the observer, and then his eyeball is at the 0 line. So there's his 90. All that curvature, that doesn't exist. Next slide. A stick in a shadow. Same principle. Can't have an elevation angle without a flat baseline. Can never have an elevation angle off a curved baseline either. Next slide. Altitude correction. In this one, you could see the dingleberry. You could see a horizontal reference. Why do they need that? Why do they need a horizontal reference line to get the angle? Next slide. One of my favorites, because this shows the celestial sphere surrounding the globe Earth model. And it's showing you that it's 3,000 nautical miles from zenith to zenith, from the subpoint of the star to the subpoint of the observer. And it's measured from a flat plane called the equatorial plane. Never from a surface will you ever see this, because you can't get an elevation angle from a curved baseline. That's it. It's over.
One more slide? Or is that someone else's?
That's QE's.
Oh, okay. Thank you, 10th.
Yeah, they got straight lines everywhere, equatorial planes everywhere. The Goldberger is, you used the word once. What was the word you used? I liked it. Not redundant, but a...
Surplus?
Surplus. The globe surplus store. That's such a perfect category.
Yeah, well, in the Globeberger diagram, it's surplus to requirement. It's not needed in this depiction, right? Let's just stick it up.
But the way you say it,
you're drawing out the angles like you showed with the almost like a sketch drawing of the guy's when he looks out, you've still got a hemisphere, but it's representing his vision along the two axes that he can actually see through. But obviously you can imagine that as you turn around, forming a full hemisphere around your position. Okay, well that's what we've got on screen now in this diagram. You've got a hemisphere of your vision from the centre of Earth. What? That doesn't work, does it? The sun's not sat on top of the sphere Earth at the surface level with you in the middle of it. So what's the globe doing there? Well, it's surplus to requirements.
When you first said that, that really resonated with me because it is a dingleberry, as I think John Refractica Richard labeled it, and it is a surplus to requirement. Just perfect usage of words.
Because
They
redundant is
don't,
the
they
wrong
don't
word,
actually
isn't
know
it?
what an elevation. Sorry, guys. I'm
was
saying
just
they
gonna
don't actually know what an elevation angle is. The difference between an elevation angle and an angle. I mean, I've got a Muppet sending me a picture of a spirit level on top of a tennis ball, talking about elevation angles. I'm saying, what are you doing, mate? That's not an elevation angle. I said you need something above the level, line of sight to a luminary. You're going to use that horizontal level as your baseline. Get the tennis ball in the bin. What you're doing?
Well, in that case, the tennis ball is surplus to requirement.
Exactly.
Well, it's kind of irrelevant because in that example, the ball is self-evident, correct? You could see the entirety of the ball, and you could see the measurement device. That's not analogous to their claims at all.
Well, it's showing you that the ball is not level.
He's not showing me an elevation angle. That's what he's not showing me.
Well, what would he have to do to give you any kind of angle? He'd have to pick a fixed point on the surface of the ball, create a straight line to the vertex, and then give you an angle between two straight lines. Correct?
But you can't do that.
Well, of course. No, you can do that. You can surely do that with the tennis ball or basketball example because
On a
you
ball?
have both things tangibly accessible to you simultaneously. You don't have that with the Earth. That's why that girl says, oh, you have to assume it.
Yeah.
And
Whenever
you
you
know
ask
what
them for-
happens when you assume.
Maybe that's why. Maybe they knew they had to assume and couldn't actually reference anything that used the spherical surface to get a measurement from when they just didn't justify why they're assuming R. They just maintain that, well, it's perfectly acceptable to assume R because we already know we're on a sphere. As opposed to saying, well, of course I've got an R measurement. Here's Al-Biruni measuring the flat Earth. That's why they probably didn't do it.
Don't forget, Just Phil affirmed that for us. Yes, we presuppose model. Yeah. That's what we're saying for years. Thanks, Phil.
Okay, but what does presuppose mean?
Assume.
Means assume before the investigation's taken place. Make
Assume
it a
what,
prerequisite.
though?
Your globe model.
Well, that's also
No.
what a supposition is.
No, no, it isn't. Not even close. Not even close.
Go on then, what's an assumption?
A supposition is a presumed
Somebody
cause
asked. Hold
versus
on.
a presupposition,
Hold
which
on,
is
Eli. Somebody
something
asked.
concluded with. Oh, my bad.
Go on then, correct us.
A supposition is something you're theorizing could be true in a colloquial sense. Like, this may be true. Now I'm going to provide argument to see whether it's true or not. A presupposition is a proposition that accepted as true at the beginning of a line of reasoning, which is why they start everything with, we already know the Earth's a globe. Now that we've established that, let's presuppose the Earth's a globe in this line of reasoning.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That was basically,
true,
as
'cause it's
I
not-
said last time, that's where I left off with red rhetoric. If you're going to have to presuppose you're on a sphere Earth by presupposition, then we won't accept it because you're already making the claim it is a sphere before you've done anything. You're not measuring it, you're not demonstrating it, You're presupposing it.
Well, this is Andrew Thomas Young. All the calculations for refraction were done over a plane. But the Earth isn't flat! Exclamation point.
Again with this flat nonsense. Why is everywhere we go it's something flat something, but it's not.
But we're the crazy ones, right? Isn't that funny how that works out?
Yeah. It is crazy. It's scary, man. It's scary.
It's like they
Well,
can't stop saying flat.
On that one image where you saw 3,000 nautical miles as the zenith distance, the co-altitude, 3,000 miles, 3,000 nautical miles. That's a very long distance. Now,
that's almost the radius.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a lot. That's a lot of flat.
Okay, so for that to work, the sun is somewhere over the Earth, assuming we're using the sun, and its subpoint, or GP, known as ground position or geographical position, all meaning the same thing, is there over the Earth. Now imagine in your mind a curved surface, and right next to it, a flat surface. So you got the sun directly over either one of those surfaces you're imagining. Now you, the observer, are 3,000 miles away from that subpoint. And a radius is a straight line, is your distance to there. So how can you have diverging zeniths? You can't.
Yeah, but 10th, it's got nothing to do with navigating the physical Earth whatsoever when you're navigating the physical Earth.
What has nothing to do with navigating the physical Earth?
The Glober's brain.
Oh, the Glober's brain. Well, I'm using their nautical almanac, which has predetermined altitude angles to all the major stars that they use for celestial navigation. And they appear all the time the same way, every different month of the year, every single time. That's why you still go to these pyramids, and on the equinoxes, the sun is shining through the same hole that they made a few thousand years ago.
Nah, we can't have that. Maybe they'll get rid of those one day, like the Georgia Guidestones or something.
I showed them like. Go ahead, Ted.
No, I have my suspicions how the Georgia Guidestones went down, since chocolate lives in Georgia. But go on.
Yeah, it has nothing else to do with whatever everybody else thinks it has to do with, because none of that mattered until a flat earther went there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good point. Good
You
point.
reckon, you reckon no one was talking about the George Guidestones before Mac went there?
No, he's talking about elevation angles.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But yeah, they probably argued about it, talked about it. Never did they question, maybe it's the stars moving in whatever it is, perfect whatever. That it continuously passes through these fixed positions on Earth for who knows how long. And that's obviously, driving them crazy. TikTok going ham on it and all that. They're like, oh, we got to take this down.
Well, Eli, it's not hard to do a little cursory research to find that most ancient, if not all, cultures believed that the stars were moving and the Earth was motionless and stationary. It wasn't until the heliocentric model and all of that came into play with Copernicus that it started in a little corner somewhere. And we've got documentation that in the late 1800s up until the 1920s, it was still being taught in American schools that the Earth is flat and motionless. So this is a most recent westernized brainwashing going on. I don't want to hear about the Greeks who thought a sphere was a perfect shape. Fine. What does that got to do with reality?
Well, we don't need to. We don't really need to work at the really is level.
And why would I not want to work at the really is level? What would I find if I work at the really is level, Chocolate?
Those things that get into the way.
Ride, the greatest roller coaster ride you'll never feel.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Chocolate, you got that? Can you send me one? Because I lost it. I don't know where it went. The sun setting video, and that's not setting. And also, can you send me
the crazy one?
Right. And send me remember the homework from the textbook of the young girl.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And while you're at it, send me a piece of that Georgia
Anybody else?
Guidestone. No, the Georgia Guidestone, a little crumb you picked up.
Oh, the one that I kept.
Yeah, the souvenir. It's like the moon rock. It's like the moon rock. Come on now.
Yeah, I got you. Anybody else? What you need? Geometric horizons, tangents.
You don't see it. The geometric horizon.
That's a new lie. Well, that's a new idea. That's only 2 years old, Arwen. Prior to that, everyone thought that the geometric horizon is something.
No, that's only when it was forced out of the closet because of the black swan. I mean, people knew that, but they kept it to themselves because it was just very convenient to go with the keeping the flat earther stuck in the geometric horizon calculator.
No way.
Yeah.
So then what? After the black swan, they were like, damn it, we have to actually concede that we can't see this thing that boats are disappearing behind. Shit.
Right. And they chose to concede in a way where they didn't concede. They just disclaimed that they ever claimed it. Nobody ever claimed the geometric horizon.
Well,
You said they disclaimed
argument,
that they never claimed it?
That
they
argument
did.
was only necessary when you didn't have the vantage point, like we explained before with the basketball with the level on it. Once you could see the object in totality, then all inferences, are irrelevant because you have the object. You can then make positive claims about it based on sheer observation. So all these arguments became ancillary once they provided the quote-unquote supposed proof of the globe in the first instance, which of course we all know and love as the fake photographs from the alleged space.
Aw.
What?
Exactly.
Yep. That about sums it up.
Be careful now. You're going to cause Nathan to round out the show.
No, he's not going to round out the show. So here's one for you. Why do they use a spirit level in the bubble sextant when not using the Earth's horizon directly?
We want a horizontal base for the elevation angle.
So let me state it again. Why do they use a spirit level in the bubble sextant when they're not using the Earth's horizon directly with the horizon mirror?
Because the horizon is obscured by like mist or something?
Nope.
No, it's because the platform is in motion.
Oh, what? Yeah, but that actually, if the platform is in motion, then using a bubble sextant is actually quite a pain in the ass. Trust me. Try to keep a bubble, like even a regular measure stick bubble, like a level on a rocking boat. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's right. So in an airplane, it's a 2-minute duration, and it's 60 recordings in that 2-minute duration. and they take the average of it, and the pilot's supposed to be flying as level as he can. But that's not the question. And the reason they don't use it on the ship is exactly what Arwen said. So again, why in a bubble sextant is the spirit level necessary when not using the Earth's actual horizon with the Mariner sextant where you use the horizon rate?
To establish a horizontal.
Able to use
Correct.
the flat Earth surface.
No, he
They
got
also
it. To establish a horizon.
They also use it. They also use in navigation when you cannot observe the horizon. You can use a bowl with water in, and you use that same surface of water again to establish your horizontal plane.
Correct. And that's the pan of Mercury if you're landlocked. But the bubble sextant is when you're in an airplane. And if you're landlocked like Lewis and Clark, they use the pan of Mercury, just like he said. But at sea, you use the actual sea horizon and you do high Tavai correction to match the same horizontal the spirit level gave you, the pan of Mercury gave you, a flat baseline. You see, they all complement each other. You can't get an elevation angle from a curved baseline.
Real quick, Eli, both of those are in Master D or whatever.
All right.
Not sure if you've ever seen that video at 10th, the one that I just posted in there, the sunset. Or
I did
sun
see
moving.
that. I did see it.
Yeah.
That is
Interesting, isn't
one
it?
strange video. Where was that
Interesting,
taken?
isn't it? I
Where
think
was that taken?
Eli, was that Chicago or something? Was it sunset over Chicago? Something
Yeah,
like that?
Chicago.
What
Yeah.
did the weatherman come on and say it was extra looming, whatever? Did he come on again? What's he going to say to that, Chocolate? That weatherman? What?
I mean, I don't know, but all I know is I thought the only reason the sun disappeared was because it went behind the physical sphere edge.
Yeah, but it's a superior mirage.
Is a mirage.
Yep. Thanks, weatherman.
Well, he's partly right. It's Lake Superior mirage. What nonsense!
I get it. No, I get it. That was good. That was good.
It's total nonsense. The guy- And then he retracted. Did you see when he retracted? He made a mistake. Did you see that one video?
Yes, and then he said, you know, we're gonna have like, you know, a specialist come on and explain it, and then that never happened. What happened to that?
Yeah, you're right. He did say that. So many flat earthers contacted him and said, "You're wrong," blah blah blah. And he says, "Okay, I'm gonna get an expert." Okay, we're still waiting.
It did come on. They were called the Flat Earthers.
Maybe
Well,
he's waiting for Rumpus. You know how long that can take.
Well, I remember Rob Skiba got on a boat and filmed it all the way there, and it never changed. It was in the mirage. He saw it all the way there. Remember that?
Those are the professionals I'm talking about.
don't. I never
The
saw that.
refracted one turned into the real one, man. Come on.
Yeah, that's it, Chocolate. So yeah, so Eli, Rob Skiba got on the boat. He got on the boat with a guy that kept camera and video, everything on it, and they started cruising toward Chicago. And as Chocolate said, the refracted one turned into the real one. Never changed.
Yeah, because according to the Globers at that time, that's not Chicago you're seeing. That's a refracted Chicago over the sphere edge.
Next
so,
time
so dude was like, all right, yeah, I got you. Got in a boat. So I'm gonna keep this thing right in my sights. And at some point, this refracted city of Chicago should disappear, and the real one should show up. Guess what happened?
No, but you gave me a thought. I'm going to go to an anti-flat earther who owns a business. I'm going to give him some refracted counterfeit money and say, "Don't worry, it's going to turn to a real one in about 2 months."
I mean, even back then, their claims of refraction were just ridiculous. Imagine that.
Well, they're trying to match
Awesome.
what happens when you stick a.
Some videos great.
I think what they're trying to match is the phenomena of sticking a pencil in a glass of water or a boat or in the lake, in the shallow part. And they're saying that's what's happening. Well, that's not what's happening.
Funny though, they didn't make all those refraction arguments when we were discussing the Isle of Man. I don't remember that. I remember they were talking about things were hidden by feet and inches. Telling us we were crazy. Because apparently back then, that's when the geometric horizon was popping. And it was actually making things in the distance disappear. That got old and busted.
Yeah,
2020.
but because of the Earth's atmosphere, we can't see it. It's there.
We can't see the thing that we're claiming we're seeing is there because of the atmosphere. Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, see, it blocks the bottom of boats and buildings right where it's supposed to, but we can't see it. Don't think too hard on that one.
That's like when the boys used to say, we can't see curvature, but we could see the effects of curvature.
And what would that be?
Anything that we see, apparently, because everything is a globe proof.
Perspective. It's perspective. They've
What's going
hijacked
on
it.
the horizon?
The effects of curvature are the horizon blocking things in the distance. That's what they used to claim. That's what the horizon used to be. Geometric thing that blocked things due to the geometry of the ball we were standing on.
Yeah, that's just nostalgia now.
Okay. Yeah, just a fond memory, isn't it, of when that you could tell how things were, how far away they were with their respect to the horizon would form based on your height. Back in the day, that was.
So they've got to give up.
Not a curve anymore.
What'd you call that? The horizon, the black swan, the militarized black swan. I remember you were coined the phrase, Adam.
Well, that's what's waiting for Alberuni at the top of the mountain, isn't it? A militarized black swan.
Their globe is just getting flatter and flatter and flatter by the day.
Well, this is what makes the show great. We've got every argument. It seems like so refined. We use the least amount of words to express the point, and it just draws a blank stare from people.
I know that people think that this is boring and that we go through the motions every day. And it's like, what's the point of telling people that water boils for 4 years? Or what's the actually it's about you know what Michael Jordan did to become great? He stuck to the fundamentals. He got up early, he practiced, and he did what most people I know for a fact don't do, because I know how lazy I am as a human being. Even with my own careers, like I probably anyway, the bottom line is the fundamentals. And you know what I see? The people who don't watch this show religiously, they don't get the fundamentals. So they don't get why we would say that's begging the question. Therefore, there is no argument. They think that conversation is legitimate after that, when they don't really understand why begging the question is the end of the conversation, or any other logical fallacy is the end of someone else's justification. You can't justify something with a logical fallacy, period. But
Eli, that's why we got to share the show.
That's
Good
why you got to
point.
share the show.
Point. No, all good points, Eli.
I
can
would
see
say
the
that
headline
for,
tomorrow.
for
I
some
can see the
people,
headline. Flat
Yeah,
Earther
yeah.
admits it's a fundamental religion.
Well, you can do something religiously.
Well, I would say for some people, and I agree completely
That was
with what
funny.
you
I
said.
get it.
I completely agree with what you said, Eli. I would just say that for some people, the begging the question, that's the beginning of the conversation. And some of them like that. Just why they just spin around and around and around and around for years and years and years. They like that. For
It's
some,
like we
it's
said
better
before,
that
though.
there's no conclusion. Right?
What you want to do? You want to end up where there's no ballers? Isn't that the point?
I've met highly educated people who, when I do a couple of our housekeeping questions, they say, "Wow, I never thought of that. That really is something I got to go investigate." I mean, it's so good because they were educated in the system, indoctrinated by the system. They hold on to beliefs that are based on fallacious reasoning, as Eli said, and the minute we mentioned some of the housekeeping questions, well, if that's that, how can this be? And they realize they got cognitive dissonance, two opposing thoughts at the same time. And that's exactly where you want them. You want them leaving you in good taste, that you weren't pressuring them in any way, but you put something like a seed into their brain, into their mind to contemplate for the next few months, because it's going to, if they're interested, drive them nuts.
That's funny, Tent, that you bring up the housekeeping questions, because that's true. And when you ask anybody in chat, that's what I usually say. Just answer one housekeeping question. Oh, I've answered them. You just don't accept what I give. But they won't, they won't come back with an answer. They'll just keep saying that. You don't accept what we give, but they won't answer it. Those housekeeping questions stop you dead in your tracks.
If they could answer it, it wouldn't be a housekeeping question we would use.
That's what I say. You say it's boring and we keep going over the same thing. Well, answer them. Oh, we've answered them already. Nathan refuses to accept our evidence. Well, tell it to me.
Well,
They
just
never do.
take today's show, for example. Yeah, we live on a sphere. We measured the radius of the Earth. How'd you do it? With a flat Earth angle measurement. Oh, okay.
As they giggle. I hear what you're saying about the giggle and chocolate, and I agree with that. But I think they do it like they're laughing at us. Like, how can you believe Earth is flat? These dumb flat earthers.
No. How are they laughing at us when they're the ones doing their own math in that way? They ain't laughing at us. That's them. Look at the lady's face when she says it, because it's video.
No,
Look at
but
her
they're
face when
portraying.
she's
I know
drawing
what you're saying.
drawing a flat line on. They both look like they're uncomfortable doing it. To be
Just going to
honest,
assume the
it
Earth
was
is
all
spherical.
cherry
Say
when
you've got
she
a mountain
drew the
here.
sphere.
So this is what you want, right? You want the radius of the Earth there. Okay. We're close enough to the shot that the Earth can be flat.
Gotcha. Like the Nathan.
You see? She was saying like the Nathan Oakley. They're trying to make it like they're laughing at us. We're the joke.
That's that.
Flat
No,
Earthers
no,
are a joke.
those
It's never changed, chocolate.
That's a splice of Reds
Ay,
and
ay,
that
ay.
lady. That's two different things, bro.
Doesn't matter.
Dude, how long you been alive when you talk to
okay,
women
Dio.
and children and they laugh because they know what they're saying is baloney and the laugh is a distraction tactic?
I agree with that. That's why I say I agree with
Exactly.
chocolate, but I also say that, listen, in school, they showed you this thing, balls falling over a flat earth, and everybody laughed. There was a reason for that.
There's a navigator, I've shown it before on the YouTube channel, who's describing how to use the sextant. And he's coming to the point where he has to say the only way it can work is if light from the sun comes in, it's straight lines, and or else it can't work on the globe because the globe is curved, right? So then he gets to a point where he's got to say the horizon, and then you can see he's struggling. He wants to say flat level, but he can't. So he takes his hand and with gestures goes like sideways, like the safe sign, in sports. And he says, well, horizontal.
Yeah, those are the ones that know.
Well, he knows, but it's cognitive dissonance, and he can't say it because I can't say flat because I just can't say that word. So they laugh.
It's spell breaking.
Yes.
Until their main head priest, high priest, says that stuff is flat.
No, but come on.
Classic.
That's his major trick.
Or
Putting
Andrew
everybody
Thomas
on the
Young.
ball.
Yeah, they do it right in your face. Or Andrew Thomas Young saying all the calculations for refraction were done on the plane Earth, on the plane. Let's put exact words, on the plane. But the Earth isn't flat. Okay, why does he have to say that? Well, because all his refraction studies came from a flat plane. They know that the geometric horizon only exists in the math. They know it's a thought experiment. They know it's not real.
But looking back as well, how long's it taken us to read? We've all Eratosthenes, Al-Biruni. We've all read that years ago and didn't realise what they was doing, measuring elevation angles of a flat surface. We also just, they must do. Now we know, but this is it. They've not. It's. We've all been through this, haven't we?
Yeah, but on deck, we don't have people. We didn't have people telling us about these things. At least today, when people look into it, they have these videos to look at. We didn't have anything, so we bought it hook, line, and sinker.
One deck. Let me get something to you. I never saw Al-Biruni or Eratosthenes until this show.
Me either.
I didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, well, that just shows you, how good the show is, and how good you guys are at delving into things, and how things pop up, and you look into things, and things come out of other things, and before you know it, boom, you're onto it.
Well, if I was in class, and I never saw this either, with the teacher with the bucket over his head, spinning it with water in it. If I was in that class, I would have said the same thing as I said to my other science teachers. Well, how can that be? You got a container. Now take the sides off and show it to me. And then he'd say, shut up.
Get to the back of the class.
Yeah, he'd do something like that. And so I never saw Al-Biruni or Eratosthenes in class. And so I could never say anything because I never saw it. But if I was indoctrinated by it and then came to this show, I would say, oh my gosh, they fooled me. I'd be honest with myself.
We did hear
you could
Pythagoras, though.
You could have a situation like I've said before. You've got a child in school. He goes into his geography lesson or whatever it is, and they're talking about the Earth and how things were measured, and the Greeks knew everything, and this is how the Greek Eratosthenes did it. He measured a shadow and an angle, and the child's writing all this down, and he's taking it in. Oh, right, yeah, that's how the globe was measured. Next class is his mathematical class, and the teacher's talking about angles and straight lines, and now it's not possible on a curved surface. But there's still not. I've just done that in that lesson, 2 straight lines, and we measured a globe. Now I'm doing maths, and it's 2 straight lines, and it's an angle. But you never pick up on it.
No, it's got to be in contention, or an argument against something is when you're going to pay attention, not when everyone agrees to it. No one wants to talk about those things when it's. Hang on, let me finish. No one wants to talk about those things when the recess bell's about to go off.
Right, but it's irrelevant because nobody talks about that in class because there's no curriculum that teaches that.
Exactly.
Unless you're going to take pre-calculus at a high school level, you're already way past been indoctrinated. It's not like you're a kindergartner and you're presented with that information.
Nope, but you are presented with the solar system. What, second grade?
You're
Was someone
presented with
asking me
all of
something?
those things
Wait,
as if
no.
they're foregone facts. Okay, you're presented
Yeah,
with
that's
essentially the
true. Yeah.
heliocentric model and the backstory of evolution with dinosaurs and all that mumbo jumbo. Like that's established in your brain before you even know how to fully read or write.
Yep.
So you mean we shouldn't let the kids watch Fred Flintstone?
He meets Kazoo. Look at that, though. An alien from space. Fred Flintstone, the prehistoric Fred, meets Kazoo, an alien from space. Wow.
I watch Fred Flintstone all the time. I always knew it was entertainment. I never, it was like, what the heck?
No, but look how they intertwined it. And now that new movie that came out, Look Up or Don't Look Up, whatever that was, she got dinosaurs on another planet eating people.
No, that's not that movie. No, you got the wrong one.
Look Up, right?
Oh wait, yeah.
At
No,
the
wait,
end,
you
they
are
get
right.
eaten by
Yeah.
dinosaurs that look like birds.
Yeah.
That was the best
It's
part
like
of
you.
that whole movie. All the elites who thought they escaped the planet went to some other planet and got ate. Oh, that was great.
Very telling.
I was thinking of Moonfall, so I just got it wrong.
Listen, bros, that's what the elites want to do. They want to escape this realm. They want to transcend the boundaries.
But only because they messed up so much, right? They got all this power, but very little grip in to balance out that power. Really, this is the reality. This is because of the system, right?
It makes
People
you think they
that don't
want
have the
balance.
skill are put into places of power. Now, as an outsider, you can think of them whatever you want. You can polarize it as much as you want, but it comes down to people with not the appropriate skill to meet the challenge are put into these places of power. This is becoming a systemic problem.
No, they're trying to escape.
No,
with them-
I'm onto something with this.
With the amount of Botox being sold and plastic surgeries on the rise, they're looking for some alien technology to say, I can live for eternity.
Correct,
ask
and
a
it's
question
not
about
even
the
alien
Giants?
technology at this point. The physicists are already, coming up with daydream stories about eventually, we'll download our consciousness to a computer, and then we'll evolve past the need of a computer and just float off as energy beings, and we'll accomplish this with humanity's knowledge and advancement alone, with no alien interference.
Is there a possibility of choosing what kind of hard drive and RAM I could be suited with?
Can I ask a question about the Giants, or is that biblical? I think it has to do with what's going on now.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, the daughters of how does the scripture go? Where the sons of God found the daughters of Noah fair, and took them as wives.
Daughters of men.
What's that?
Sons of
Daughters,
God, daughters of men.
yeah, and
Right.
it was a reference. And sons of God in the Old Testament was reference to angels.
Okay, so now they did impregnate these women, correct?
Yeah, they had
That's where you
relations.
get that's where you get the men of renown, right? The Nephilim.
Yeah, that's what they had relations with the daughters of men. If relations means what I think it means, yes.
But how can this be? Because this guy tells me that if Jesus said that in heaven. Oh, that's the answer right there. It says in heaven, right? He's not talking about the earth because this guy's really against it, saying that Jesus said that
In heaven, the angels are not given in marriage or marry, and that's the way we shall be, because we are married to the Lamb.
but that's in heaven.
Of
We're
course.
talking about earth.
Of course.
Let me read exactly what he said. He said to me, I do not deny the existence of giants on the earth or the Nephilim, whoever they are. I do not believe that they are a result of spirits who do not have flesh or bone, sleeping with women and producing offspring. Jesus spoke of demon possession. However, Jesus never spoke of demons sleeping with humans. Quite the contrary, my brother. Matthew chapter 22, verse 30, angels neither marry or are given in marriage. Jesus Christ statements, not mine. But
You have to
that's in heaven.
Go to the Book of Enoch
Interesting.
for more explanation. But
He
that's
tosses the Book of
contradictory,
Enoch
Neil.
aside. I brought it up to him. He doesn't.
Okay, but listen, read the text again. It's contradictory. Demons don't. They weren't demons. So I'm not
Right,
sure
I
what
think he's
relevance
making a
that.
comparison now.
No, but it's kind of irrelevant. Chocolate melts in the sun. There's no point in bringing it up when I'm talking about ice cream and
I
how to
agree.
freeze it.
Hey,
Oh,
Hey,
not you.
well,
You do. No, you'll be better in the sun than me, Chocolate. I melt in the sun. To be fair.
just saying, chocolate.
second.
Just saying.
But the point being, they also didn't marry them. They lusted after them.
Thank you. Yeah, who said they married anybody?
Then it says,
might have took them for
think
wives,
about it,
actually.
brother, with all the prophecies given in the New Testament along with the warnings, and there's no mention of this by Jesus nor any of the apostles.
It's not relevant. It's been resolved by the flood.
Listen, right. And God had to flood the earth, but he says, I don't believe fallen angels slept with women, by the way.
We
Hold
don't
on a
have to believe
second.
the Bible, but that's up to him if he chooses not to believe what's written plainly there.
Correct.
I mean, I don't know how they
Well,
did
it's
it, but
not-
it clearly states
It's
it.
not as plain. It's not that plain. There's many different interpretations of that with the Hebrew syntax and other scriptures. It's not just cut and dry that angels definitely slept with women and that the men of renown there were their offspring. It's not as cut and dry.
Oh yes, it is.
It's
Oh yeah.
very
I
cut.
would think
Oh
it
yeah.
is.
Oh yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And
I think it's very cut
with
and dry.
other non-canonical texts, like say Enoch and stuff, just to make sure that you're not getting the misinterpretation. You've got other texts that aren't denying it; they're supporting it and giving greater detail. I've
This
never
guy
seen
says-
contention in that.
He says that the Nephilim were on earth prior to the sons of God taking the daughters of men to marry, and afterwards as well. I know they were after.
Well,
but
give us
it doesn't say
supporting.
they were before.
Give us supporting scripture to back that, please.
Yes. Can't wait for that.
They would be about. They would be about, wouldn't they? Because they're testing. Like Satan in the Hebrew thing is still working for God at this in points. He's an extrasensory tester. Doesn't do it in the way we'd see, but he'll say to God, "Give me, let me test him." Yeah, and test people. So they're on the earth dealing with things as emissaries of God. That's not the point. It's the point when they go to plot against God. That is what they do there, to go and take and create the son, the men of renown, by doing all those things by lusting after them. That's, as I understand it, that's part of a plot.
Indeed.
To overthrow God.
Yeah. So
And that could be, but they don't have to all be the same
follow...
group. They could be two separate groups.
Yeah,
no, they can't.
It doesn't say that. They could all be all sorts of stuff, but that's not what it
They
says.
can't. They're not.
No.
If you don't understand Genesis 6, you'll be absolutely clueless about the entire Old Testament and Revelation.
And the flood.
Yep. You're absolutely clueless. You have
I think Adam's greater point is being missed. And if Adam, correct me if I'm wrong. Your greater point is Scripture says this. You either accept or you don't. You just don't go make up other stuff.
Yeah, you don't have, like me, you don't have to be a Bible believing Christian, but you can't just dismiss what's in there and ignore it. It's quite clear what it says, where you place the relevance of that information, but you can't deny what's written there or try and subvert it into a different meaning. That's not in there.
When I brought up Enoch to him, he refuses it. He says he only goes by the 66 books of the Bible. That's it.
Enoch is not necessary. Enoch is adding, but it's not necessary. And Enoch is mentioned in the Bible anyway.
That's what I said. The Ethiopians have it. So why do the Ethiopians have it in their Bible, but we don't have it here? And they just quickly mention it.
Doesn't
I know
matter
it doesn't
anyway.
matter.
Yeah. Doesn't matter anyway. Like 10 said, all you need is Genesis 6. Then you go to Daniel, right? Discusses it there. It's kind of hidden, but then you go to 2 Peter. That's okay. We won't go there. That's not true. This show's not for that.
Well, the women wearing head covering because of the angels is a curious verse.
Stop them lusting, you know?
Why would the women concern themselves with head covering because of the angels? Come on.
Why would they?
Well, in reference to the story, they all believed that the angels came and had relations with the daughters of men. It just doesn't fit any other
They will all
scenario.
have relations.
Well, I wanted to, can I say something? I know. Okay, let me try to phrase this the right way. Did not Mary become pregnant by the Holy Spirit overshadowing her?
Well, are you saying that?
Well, this guy's trying to make it sound like it's impossible, for a fallen angel to do that. But I see Mary being impregnated by God just by an overshadowing, and they were under God and learned from God. No.
Well, listen, that verse by some really weirdos has been taken to extremes.
I know.
Okay, so we're not going there, hopefully. But yes.
No, I'm not. But I'm just saying. Don't tell me it's impossible.
No,
Don't
it's
tell me what's impossible. Get off. Stay on the topic. Genesis 6. Read it.
It's not me. I'm talking about somebody else who's telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm with you.
I know, but Neil, what QE is trying to do is get you back to the argument and not go off to something else. But since you brought it up, okay, when was the seed of the woman mentioned? When a woman has an egg.
Genesis.
And what was God? What did he say that the seed of the woman would do to the serpent?
Crush his head.
Okay, and guess what? Satan didn't want that to happen. So, and what is the seed of the woman when the woman has the egg? Who put that seed in there?
Man.
No, Holy Spirit, God, God.
Yeah, yes, okay, yeah, but man.
Yeah, so because he didn't. Oh boy. Was Jesus born to Joseph as his literal father, or
no? That's what I'm saying.
So it wasn't from man then.
Right, I know.
Right, it's called the virgin birth for a reason.
I was just saying. I'm just using that
That
as an
has
example.
no bearing. That has no bearing with the angels of Genesis 6, by the way.
I know it doesn't. Are you kidding me?
Right, so all that being said, Neil,
Just stop, please. The point, because please, what's the point? Where's QE? Please.
I am right
we
here.
don't need that. We need Neil to answer what that guy's point was.
She's trying to say that the Bible says nothing about it's silly because Jesus said women are never not married or given to marriage. So how could the sons of heaven come down and impregnate women? That's what he's saying, basically.
Because it says there, it says they had relations with the daughters of men. What do you think that meant? Going for coffee?
To me, it's in black and white. I agree.
Well, then stop it. This is nonsense. You either accept
saying
the
they're
story.
the sons of Seth, the godly son. He's saying it's the godly seed.
Yeah, but what's
No, now he's
right?
changing the Bible.
That is a true interpretation of sons of God in certain places, but how does that apply? Like, what point is he trying to prove? Like Neil, let me give you an example. So, for example, there are people out there that argue that Satan had sex with Eve, and there are now two races of humans on the earth: one who is true humans and one who are demon seed. Right. So when you go out and you look at different humans, one could be a human and the other could be a demon human. Right. So they're trying to make the positive argument that today exists humans walking around in human skin, but they're worthy of derision, murder, killing, because they're actually demons.
Again, non-biblical though. That.
Nonsense. It's all humans. Humans have this
Gosh.
incredible potential that humans typically cannot handle about themselves and each other. And we just have this. We have to deal with this. Right?
Look,
God has given us more than we can handle. No, but this is how.
if you're,
Come on. God,
if you're a Christian,
dude.
I thought you were done. Go on.
God has
A red
given
herring
us.
anyway.
For fuck's sake, man.
Don't
No,
need
but
to
what
go.
you're about to say, Owen, is going to get challenged instantly. Certainly by
It's a red herring, so it's a challenge that's going to come off the back of a red herring. It was dude was just saying
what
people
about what
say.
Owen's
Like it's
saying.
I know, but he's saying it
Let
like
him say it.
he was saying.
Let him say it, and then we can all jump on him.
Okay. Here we go. God gives us more than we can handle.
Right, that's enough. What a load of bollocks. He'll never give you more than you can handle.
Thank you, Adam.
Bollocks, I say.
No, but
Here,
he has a
I didn't
plan
make a
with it.
po-
Hold on.
Wait,
He
you
has a
jumped, you
plan
got
with
jumped
it.
on. You got jumped on,
Right?
man.
He's got it accounted for over time. God is the arbiter of time itself. He knows.
What's this got to do with this?
He knows more about you than you consciously
That
know
has
about
nothing to
yourself.
do with this. No one's arguing that point. That's
I
not even the
am.
point. Well,
God.
then you're missing the conversation, because as a Christian and as one that believes the Bible, I'm going to say I believe that is what the Bible teaches. Now, if a cult or non-Christian comes, or someone who wants to change Scripture, I'm going to debate it. I'm saying, well, it's not what the record shows. If you choose, look, I've had friends who were Muslim, Jehovah's Witness, Mormons, whatever. I expect them to believe their books. I expect them to believe their doctrine. I expect to have a fruitful debate discussing the differences, and then leave it to God to sort it out. As long as there's love in the conversation, no one hates each other. All right, that's the way I've been operating, because that's what I'm instructed to do. If someone says to me, do you believe the Bible from cover to cover? I'm going to say yes. Well, what about this verse? I go, take me to it. I don't have a problem. That's not what Genesis 6 says. It says exactly what it says. Quit adding and subtracting from Scripture. If you're a Christian, you gotta accept it, every word.
I've got a correction to that. I did say I don't think they married them, but if you let me read Genesis 6, first 4 verses, probably means we're talking in knowledge then. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and the daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. That's the correction. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward. When the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them, they were the heroes of old, men of renown.
That's cut and dry to me.
Duh.
The only bit of confusion I have is sons of God and Nephilim. They appear to mean the same thing in the same sentence, which I don't. So to me, verse 4 does make a distinguishment as to what the sons of God were and what the Nephilim were. It's within the same sentence. But the
Sons of
Nephilim were
God. No, sons of God, B'nai Elohim, are direct creations of God. That means angels and Adam.
Yep.
Daughters of men, Banath Adam, daughters of Adam, not daughters of Seth. You can see them today. If you need a big sample size, go to the mall. And the Sethite view, let me just put an end to this nonsensical horseshit. The Sethite view Sons of Seth and the daughters. Oh, wait a second. I missed it. I got a detailed write-up on this, by the way. Sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain nonsense was first contrived by Celsus Julian the Apostate in the 5th century, and Julius Africanus propagated it. Cyril of Alexander used the Sethite view to repudiate the Orthodox position. Then Augustine pushed it and it prevailed into the Middle Ages. The majority of seminaries today still teach it. First, God didn't command lines of separation until chapter 11 of Genesis. Also, when a believer and an unbeliever get married, yes, the children can turn out to be monsters, but they're not monstrous. Sons of God was never used of believers in the Old Testament. Seth was not God. Cain was not Adam. If the Sethites were so righteous, why did they perish in the flood? Were the daughters of Seth unattractive? No daughters of Elohim? Only X chromosomes among the Sethites. No women of renown? Also, the Nephilim were there after the flood, Genesis 6:4. You just read it. Did the Sethites get resurrected? Look, preposterous lunacy, just surface ball-tard shit. It gets worse. So I'd drop this Genesis 6 unless you want your big ass handed to you. Out.
Where can I get, where do you have that, QE?
None of your business.
Exactly.
Well, how am I read it if you don't share it?
He just
What the
did.
heck?
But anyway,
I'll see.
Neil,
I'll see what
Neil.
I'll see
While
what
he's
I can
looking
do
for
with it.
that, one of the problems that all this line of questioning goes into, if you don't study it properly, is a lot of people latch onto these things as if bloodline is what makes you righteous before God, which Paul eviscerates in the New Testament, right? Because the Jews thought that that was their claim to fame, is that God chose their bloodline. And he had to go through extensive things to say, no, the seed, which inherits the promise, is not a bloodline seed. It's those who have faith in Christ, because the seed isn't many people, it's one, which is Christ. So only the children of faith are heirs and counted as the seed. It has nothing to do with your bloodline.
Well said.
One
I'm with that.
A similar or identical biblical Hebrew term, read as Nephilim by scholars, or can also be the word for fallen, as in the book of Ezekiel. That to me makes more sense to identify the Nephilim, because it says here, look, the main reference in Genesis 6:14, but the passage is ambiguous and the identity of the Nephilim is disputed, and it's hard to tie anything down direct from that. But see, the bit that's interesting later is in the book of Numbers. They later claim that they inhabited Canaan at the time of the Israelite conquest of Canaan, you see. So I think there's a distinguishment there as to who and what the Nephilim are directly. The fallen is my best understanding. The alternative. At least that's some meaning.
So you just answered a question. Why did God send the flood? Does anyone have an answer to that? And who was spared and why?
We're told for wickedness, aren't we? The wickedness.
Noah,
Wickedness. If wickedness was the issue, you better get your friggin' life jackets on.
Because there were giants on the earth.
Well, if I quote Genesis 6:6, then the underlying reason is regret.
Nope.
The Lord regretted that he had made human beings.
Yeah, why did he regret it?
Yeah. So that's what I said. The underlying feeling is that. So what's the cause of his regret? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Is that supposedly why he sent the flood? He had a regret about something?
No, that's the way he chose to communicate to humans on their term. Obviously, he even uses a stronger word. He repented. God doesn't repent. He doesn't do anything wrong.
So, Genesis 6:7-9, and the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with God. Did you hear me pounding on the table? You hear that? Perfect in his generations. What does that mean?
This is the question. Is it genetically perfect or is it spiritually perfect?
Yep. Genetically perfect. That means genes. So Noah was saved. Why? Because he was just and perfect in his generations. His genes were without physical blemish. They were unimpaired. Perfect in Hebrew. All right.
I wonder why.
So he was good looking like me.
And old. And old. How old was Noah?
900 when he's done, isn't he?
The prophecy.
900, Adam?
Yeah, something like
The
that.
prophecy.
He's one of the oldest because they start to reduce in time, but Noah has a good stint again.
The prophecy of the woman and the seed is the reason.
Yeah, because women don't have seed. Also, if you get, so Genesis 3:14-15, and the Lord said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly thou shalt go, and dust shalt eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. Women don't have seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise thy heel. Okay, so the creator of the frigging universe is giving Satan a warning. So the warning is everything that's coming out of that woman is going to be bad, or that one thing that's coming out of that woman is going to be his curtain call. So you're Satan. You have the creator of the universe tell you that from that woman, right, bad things are going to happen to you. Okay, now it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, right? Tactically and practically, put yourself in Satan's position. I know a lot of you can already. What you gonna do in a preemptive strike? What you gonna try to do?
You're gonna try to corrupt every woman so that that could never happen.
Exactly. You're gonna try to corrupt the seed of every woman. Exactamundo. You see how this follows?
No. What do you mean, corrupt the seed of every woman? What are you talking about?
Not the seed. It's going to try to corrupt the genetics through that woman because it's coming from her. The only way to, you don't know what woman it is. So you're going to go after all women, right? And try to corrupt their seed. How do you do that? Or how not their seed. You know what I mean?
No,
try to
let me.
offspring. I can't get it out.
How do you do
I'll
that?
try to help.
Well, you're asking rhetorically, and I want to know the answer.
I'll try to give it. Since Jesus is 100% man and 100% divine, the seed cannot come from Adam or anyone else. So God put the seed into Mary. That's why it's called the virgin birth. But if the woman herself is flawed and corrupted, then what's going to happen? Not good stuff. So this is the purity God kept throughout, and Satan wanted to destroy that potential prophecy from ever happening. God putting his seed, perfect seed, sinless seed, into a woman to be born as a man, because Jesus represents saving mankind. He had to be a man to exchange for man, but he also had to be 100% God, not to sin and be acceptable sacrifice. It gets deeper than that, but that's a nice summary.
Yeah. So what you do is you send all your buddies to screw all the women. And he had a lot of buddies. They're called the fallen angels. Yeah. Sound about right?
I got it.
Yeah.
I want this thing of yours. I want to see it. I want to hear it.
He
Come
wants
on.
He wants your seed. Can we give it to him?
So how does this relate in any way to now?
I'll tell you very clearly, it relates to flat Earth because there are flat earthers who, having dissolved themselves of the status quo paradigm truth, have adopted a essentially pseudo-religious biblical narrative of the history in which they believe that there are different seed lines, and those other seed lines are worthy of derision even death. So yes, among the flat earth community, there are flat earthers who believe that they are superior genetically to other flat earthers, and that those other flat earthers are worthy of death, and they, the good seed line, are worthy of salvation. And so yes,
that wasn't
this
the question.
idea.
Hold on, I want to hear this.
That may be true.
Hold on.
That may be true. That wasn't
Was there
his
any more?
question.
Hold on. Was there any more?
That may
Well,
be
I mean,
true,
that's
but that's
basically it.
that
It's
wasn't
like-
the question. Hello.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm asking AI. He was in the middle of telling us the bit I wanted to hear.
Oh, really? You didn't want a connection within the Bible. You wanted to take the context completely out of the Bible on the numpty flat earthers.
Precisely.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that part.
Yes, that's exactly correct.
Okay. Drive on. Keep on chugling.
Yeah. Yeah, so fair, but that's just like how it expresses itself in the flat earth community. That's all I was saying.
And I've never come across this, but I don't really keep abreast of the flat earth community. It comes to me and I'll react to it. So can you give me an example? I've never come across this.
I'd like a definition
one thing we
for
got
chugling.
one thing we got going on in the flat earth is everybody's a liar now, right? So we experienced this recently with what's known as the water worlders. And this also has relevance to what we're talking about today, where they're trying to get, Bev to say it's flat, or no, do you believe in mountains? Well, because obviously it's not perfectly flat. That's an ideal shape. So the water worlders say, well, it's not flat, so why do you call yourself a flat earther? I'm not a flat earther, I'm a water worlder, because the Bible says there's water above and water below. So the accurate term should be a water worlder. Now, anybody worth their logical salt will immediately realize that the water is not everywhere. There's earth. So that's not a perfect description of where we live either. So they're taking an imperfect description to pummel someone else over the head for an imperfect description, but simultaneously not just saying I'm right and you're wrong. They say if you call yourself a flat earther, you're a liar, you're propagating lies, and you're morally imperfect compared to me.
Well, I heard that guy call his child a kid, so is his child a goat?
Nothing wrong with calling kids kids. My kids
That's
I call
very
kids.
Kid, you missed
a
the
very
point.
strange theology that basically arguing about what badge to wear, what you should have written on your badge, even though the underlying meaning of all the badges is the same. Let's argue about what we should have written on our badges.
No,
Sure, but I was hoping
absolutely.
to hear more of the whole out of Africa idea and purity of bloodlines and how certain flat earthers that believe that. But you've kind of drawn a parallel with people who are saying, no, if you call yourself a flat earther and don't believe what I believe, then you're a liar.
Right. So within that is an expression of factionalism, right? And tribalism, which humans tend to do. They tend to, create groups of like-minded and then despise the other so that they can create moral superiority for their position, which we've been seeing happen in people publishing stuff right now, like concurrently over the past few weeks, right? Like, I'm morally superior to you. You guys are the bad ones. We're the good ones. And so when you start adopting that, you need more and more ammo to prove that you're better. And eventually you stumble across the bloodline conspiracies, where there actually is a good bloodline and an evil bloodline. And so now, with the Bible as your weapon, you could call other people the evil seed. I'm the good seed, you're the evil seed. You're going to be thrown into hellfire by God based on your bloodline, and I'm going to inherit the righteous world because I'm a good one and you're a bad one.
Well, I got news for them. We're all bad, and we got saved by one bloodline. And for those other people, the argument is either here or there.
Right. Yeah, fair. And let's also be clear that the Bible says that God created man of one blood upon the face of the earth. Right. So, of course, they're going to say, well, that's just referring to man. And it still gives me plausible thing to say there's another bloodline of inhuman. So some humans are human and some humans are inhuman. Now, I will tell you this in my own experience. I've experienced these groups making claims about the markers of the humans versus the inhumans, one of them being certain blood types. So you have loved ones in your family who have that blood type. These people are basically telling you that loved one in your family is a piece of shit demon seed that's worthy of death and pure evil, when it's just a person with a different blood type. And they just come up with these arbitrary...
Hold on, I want to know specifically what markers they're talking about. They're talking about blood type.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
This
think
is
it's RB
bloody
RBH negative or
discrimination.
whatever.
Oh, RH negative.
Well,
What?
that's interesting, isn't it? If that's the
Well, the
claim,
point
then
is
maybe
when you
we
Okay,
have
hold on.
when you
I
have
now
a
know what this subject
philosophy.
is about because I've
Go
come
ahead.
across these people also. Now I do know what you're talking about, and Adam does too. Go ahead, Adam.
I'd not heard the rhesus negative blood type used in that way. Certainly in a biblical context, it does destroy the out of Africa theory and stuff in terms of standard stuff. But it's that rhesus negative that's distributed across the world that throws question into standard historical narratives. But I've never heard that identified because its distribution is very interesting. And if I was to take a wild punt, I would suggest that Jesus was rhesus negative. Yeah, that he would carry that gene. It seems to be fundamentally a ginger
Right.
gene. Put simply, it's the same gene.
You said ginger gene.
Yeah. So the pharaohs were all ginger, and they have this gene, and it's this. Yeah, it's the green eyes, freckles gene. It's the Hyperborean gene, I suppose, that some people may view it as. But it's all that. But I've never heard it placed into the biblical bloodline as the continuance of, is it Seth?
Right. I'm not saying these are serious scholarly works that these people are coming up with here.
Oh, are they not?
Okay,
Oh,
they
I'll
have
stop
a
writing
premise.
all this stuff down.
So what are you guys saying? I've heard stories about this, in the background. I've never paid any attention to it. So you're saying the RH negative or the righteous?
No, I'm saying that certain groups, subgroups within the flat Earth community, believe that RH negative are the demon seed.
I thought Adam said the negative, the rhesus negative were the righteous.
Well, yeah, but see, Adam actually did some research.
Yeah, negative's the good one.
If in my understanding, yeah, if you look for historical evidence, you've got, like, say, the mummies and stuff. You've got Prophet Muhammad dyed his hair ginger. Why did he dye his hair? And why do Muslims do it today? They do it out of reverence to Muhammad. Muhammad did it out of reverence to Jesus. He would dye his hair to replicate Jesus' hair. It was seen as, that was, I think, understood. So if you're going to look at these things through history, then, and you're going to suggest in a biblical way that the alternative being that everybody else, other than recent, are the evil ones, because they're in the minority. We're in the minority, the rhesus negatives. So
what's your blood type?
Rhesus negative. That's what I said. We're.
Okay, let's go. Let's see who the evil ones are.
So, but that being, you can see how it's a demonic plot, because if you're going to say that's the evil type, and then you can tie it to Christ in some way, I don't see any of that. I've never heard that. I've never seen it in the Bible. We're all God's a loving Father.
Yeah, but it's not.
Whatever these mortals
You got
are.
it. It's not. None of this stuff is in the Bible. It's all ancillary.
Yeah.
That people latch onto because they need some reason why their group within a group, so their niche within the group or their clique is superior to the rest of everybody. Whether that be something about the Bible, something about the nature of science, something about the nature of the background of reality, whatever it is that they want to cling to and make part of their identity, so that they can persecute you with it.
That's easy to do because every time I go out and eat sushi, my blood is a little bit more ginger.
I thought they were saying Jesus is ginger.
Yes, that's what they're saying. That's what Muhammad dyed his hair ginger for. Did you not pay attention?
Yes, he's not a prophet.
Muhammad? Yeah, he is.
Got it in the
he's
title.
not.
Maybe not
Can't
to
we
you,
go through
Neil.
the blood types? Is this like a HIPAA violation or something?
Why is he saying
Adam.
he isn't a prophet? Ugh, what the hell?
Yeah.
What Neil is trying to say, okay, is that when a religion outside of the biblical says they have a prophet, are they talking about the same God or a different God? And so when you study Islam and you see their belief system doesn't match the Bible, then we would call that a false prophet with a false religious system. They would turn around and say that same thing to us.
Exactly. But there's no need to point that out. It's bloody obvious and just antagonistic to say something like that, isn't it?
Yes, I'm antagonizing you.
Yeah.
But that's Neil. He's got that blood type.
Exactly. That's what I was wanting to get to. Can everyone please chime in with their blood types, please?
O negative.
Polymimetic alloy.
I have no
Chocolate
idea
syrup.
what I.
10th, you don't know what your blood type is.
I did when I needed to, but I forgot.
Chocolate.
I forgot as well, and I had to go and ask my mother.
Well,
Chocolate.
we know how to fix this.
Well, no wonder you guys have that saying bloody well.
Chocolate, he's not saying anything. He's ruined the day this got brought up.
That's all right, bro.
Righteous.
Because we know how to fix
Righteous.
this. All we need to do is cut you and then touch your blood with a hot poker. And if it jumps, you're one of them.
I don't think I ever knew my blood type.
Uh-oh.
So.
Yeah, we know why. Chocolate, blood type, please.
I don't
Ignorance is
remember.
ignorance is bliss, righteous. Arwen.
I'm probably one of those, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm really sloppy when it comes to my own medical information.
This was a very simple question. Okay, I guess we got them all, Nathan.
We really didn't.
Well, we got the ivy. We got the ivy.
The ones that didn't give it up, we know that they're positive. So
I would point out that this gene is across all races, though, across the whole plane. It's more prevalent in certain areas, like the Basques and the Irish. Have like the Basque region in Spain has a really high areas. There's certain groups that seem to have it, which is why it's used kind of as a tracking mechanism. But it's still in blacks, Chinese, Asians, Indians, South Americans as well.
I can see why Brian's logic's not on the show today.
The Irish have got the same thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's suspect.
Lucky charm.
No one asked me.
Well, if
That's a good thing. Appreciate that.
And what is your blood type, Kiwi?
Because we already know.
Look at it. Look at Chocolate. He's like ruined the day here.
I can prove Jesus was Italian.
Oh,
He was
geez.
still living home at 33 years old with his mother.
Nice one.
And he was a carpenter.
It was a tecton.
He was a carpenter, so he knew about like flat level.
Exactly.
That's what's up, Jesus.
Well, I gotta go, boys, but I'll leave you with this. He's the cornerstone. The whole
That is
house is
correct.
built upon. I'll catch you guys mañana.
See you tomorrow.
Good night, Tam.
Hey, good luck today, Adam, with your team.
Cheers, bro. Fingers
You
crossed.
too.
Oh,
Fingers
what about my
crossed.
team?
Hell with your team. Fingers crossed. What the hell is that supposed to do?
Look, I'll do anything right now. We are not doing well. So
For what? Your soccer game.
Where you sacrificed the Helios?
Don't bring sports into this. Let's
Um,
just keep it going.
will it get me 3 points, Chocolate?
Maybe. I don't know. I heard Helios is temperamental, so I don't know.
Maybe not.
Yeah, but that's a word of advice there. If your first premise is never disrupt or put a wedge in the quote unquote community rather than never compromise on the truth, then you've already accepted failure.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Providing information, being honest and true to yourself is not disruptive. There are ways of being disruptive in the community. I think they've been demonstrated. Certainly from my point, I only speak for myself, but I don't think any of the stuff I've said has been intended to drive a wedge. It's been intended as information for people to have informed decisions, not even really directed at the individuals that I'm responding to, but more for the general public, for them to make a decision. And then it's up to individuals themselves to decide if that's a wedge for them. They feel that that's a wedge. I ain't sticking wedges out there. I'm sticking information out there. Truth. How you feel about that is up to you. They're your feelings.
That's the difference, right? When you're trying to let the information guide people as opposed to you being the one that guides people. Big difference.
Whatever works best.
Not necessarily, because if you're letting the information do the talking, well, then they can come to their own conclusion based on that, whether it's wrong or not. But if it's you pushing a certain narrative, well, then you've got your own agenda about that, right?
Well, if you're really entertaining about it, then that still leaves an imprint, and that might still actually nudge people into altering their way of thinking as well.
Yeah, but I
You
think
have to
that
ask if you're gonna define some information, right or wrong, that you receive as a wedge. Why are you doing that? What purpose does it serve for you? If you make that thing divisive and put it in that category, you can put it away in that box to not deal with it. You don't have to. It's just divisive. You don't have to deal with what it's saying.
Of course. No, I mean, I'm absolutely for that. I mean, I'm anti-Marxist, so anything that naturally leads to a divisive end result is off the scale. Basically, it's
That's not
not
what I'm
for
saying.
me.
I'm asking what's going off in your own dissonance, yeah, that you feel the need to categorize something as divisive and treat it like that, as opposed to treat it with what it is, which is contradictory information to your worldview. Why not categorize it as that?
Well,
Why do you
because
categorize
there's
it as
another
divisive?
layer to it. There's also what people have actually and keep secret, like their own personal life and their motivations, right? And how they develop in that. And they don't necessarily, a lot of people keep this very compartmentalized and they don't show this, but that doesn't mean that it isn't there and that it isn't super impactful. So, yeah, I guess I'm just trying to be an empath here. It's just, yeah, there's so much information out there.
I'm being empathic, Owen. I'm trying to understand the process. Why are you dealing with that information in that way? Why are you categorizing it as aggressive and divisive when it's got no aggression in it? Has it? It's taking apart 100 degrees boil. You know what water boils at? Is the visible sunlight a hypothesis? There's no aggression in that. Certainly, there wasn't from me. I presented the case cleanly.
No.
So and I'm asking then from that individual's point of view, what are they cognizant? How are they cognizing it, and why are they cognizing it in a way as divisive, so that they deal with it as a piece of divisive action, as opposed to a piece of information that's troubling to them and questions their worldview? They're not doing that, because by making it divisive, they don't have to then deal with the more pertinent point of this actually challenges my worldview.
Yeah, but they could look on the dark side, and when you accidentally even slip into that, and it can happen to some people, some more than most, but the way it works in there is just super mechanical, and they see these things coming. It's just that the person that taps into that cannot handle what's basically being presented to them, even from that perspective, right? So they are just, most people that are sunk in that deep, they just get preoccupied with trying to keep things together while the background force is basically pushing them in all kinds of directions. And yeah, if you have a really sharp eye, then you can even make out when they're trying to get rid of that grasp, right? Yeah, sometimes it happens in plain sight with a lot of media people, especially. So it's just, yeah, it's just a lot going on. Hope that made any kind of sense to anyone.
Well, Arwen, that's exactly what a liar and scammer would say. So I disregard everything.
What? Shit. I didn't mean to. I'm just improvising here. I'm actually literally improvising, but that's just, yeah, because I'm a freak like that. But I'm trying to be honorable. And this is just how it works. This is just what happens. There's all these different layers that our consciousness does tap into, but we can't really handle that information. It just handles itself. That's the best, roughest description that I could give it, right? And that's just how it is, right? You have to realize that's why it's such an amazing saying. A wise man knows they know nothing, because there's just so much stuff that we have to interact with. We're forced to, just because of the world, that we cannot fully handle. We can handle parts of it where we're specialized in it, especially, and where our focus is. But there's parts that we cannot handle always. But we just gotta trust over time that we respect our deeds and what's going on, and that we keep our principles in order, and then eventually it will actually make sense. Now, if you're too chaotic about it, then in the end it will not make sense, and it will be like demons hunting you, whatever you did, because you were just too loose about it. So cohesion makes so much sense on the long run. It's for your own good.
I just kind of hear this almost like and not just in this discussion. I mean, like in the world or the narrative lately. It just seems like that people want to abolish objectivity, right? Like we spent a lot of time here discussing what you can prove, what you can't prove, what is objective, what is subjective, right? What 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 is science, what is pseudoscience, like, and I don't know. I hear the strive to just pretty much abolish objectivity. Like there's nothing we can know, right? Which is very weird to me, because it's like when you say that, it's like when the Globers get to a point when their globe has been destroyed, and they'll say, "Well, I don't know anything, can't know anything," right? I could be a brain in a vat.
Solipsism.
Yeah, it's becoming ever more profound, I think. It's almost like, well, we can't know anything because we don't know everything. And it's like, that's crazy. Like even what you quoted before, right? A wise man will say, you don't know anything. Well, you know that, right? You say you're wise because you don't know anything. Well, you know that. But there are things that you can know, and I think it's kind of crazy to just throw those things out. But then why not just be a brain in a vat? Doesn't sound very fun, but I think some people want that or something. It's weird.
Well, it's very convenient because if you're a brain in a vat, you don't have a lot of responsibilities. All you can do is just think and do whatever, respond to whatever happens, apparently, right? To you, to your consciousness. So it's just another fantasy in which there's very little responsibility, practically.
No, because the brain in the jar is a really busy housewife. She's got all the cooking, cleaning to do. She's got the kids to fetch. She's got the things to get on. Yeah, the brain in the jar doesn't know anything other than it's got all of those jobs to do. It's a very stressful life for the brain in its reality, which is false.
Neil,
kids to fetch.
Neil,
thank you for that.
Yes.
Check your Skype.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry for rudely interrupting that high level discussion there, Adam.
Wait, are you a brain in a vat?
I can't be arsed.
Nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The graphics didn't transfer as long as and the images, so just imagine it.
I think Chocolate made the point earlier. This is where the argument's going, though. It's going into a place of non-proof. And we're challenging things we do know. Attacking at levels like, well, can you see an atom? To then mean you can very loosely just propose a whole new paradigm to work from, meaning that everything else that we've had is just it's inconsequential because I can't see a picture of an atom. And that solipsism is the right word, Choc, but it's descending into the ludicrous of these are paths we should explore, and this is the validation for it. It's become very nonsensical, and we've alluded to it. It's almost based in religion, in a belief, certainly, of a substance existing, which, because that belief is true and validated to head forth in that level of investigation with that as a presupposition.
Like good faith.
Indeed. Well, no, that's worse, isn't it? Because it's fine. It's absolutely fine. If you want to do it, Nathan wants to wander off on his own with that kind of faith and belief. But to ask others to believe in that based on good faith that you perceive you have earned in the past, to ask them to carry on believing in this based on, let's be honest, years and years of presenting falsities to people. That's the issue for me, to ask for good faith in something that you can't prove, that you can't prove even to yourself. That's weird. That's cultish. It's certainly religious.
Solipsism isn't that objectivity doesn't exist. It's that you are the only sentient agent.
I might be able to agree with that then.
Just to break up the monotony, my cat always comes in and wants up on the window. He always gives me signals as to what he wants. We have this sort of agreement. But today it's 35 degrees outside, so just a couple degrees above freezing. So he needed up on the window, right? I said, all right, I got something for your ass. Open the window. I said, get up there. He always gets up. He jumps off my TV stand up onto the window. And he stood there, and he immediately froze. He looked at me like, you asshole. And he took off a running, man. Yeah. I'm going to go rough him up here in a couple minutes. I know. I just wanted to share that.
It's a beautifully warm day, strangely warm. It was 18 degrees in the car when I was driving earlier. It's 15 now. But that's ridiculous. But
we got a hard freeze. Well, we had a hard
Did
had
you
a
name
hard.
your cat something cool like Mr. Bigglesworth?
I need to turn my mic up.
No, you don't.
I'm gonna do
Nah,
that.
I heard you. I was just rumping you.
And now we do want to know, is it Mr. Picklesworth? That is a great name for a cat, Chocolate. That is.
It's just Mr. Kitty. Now,
See, I knew it sounded like that.
Now, we did name him Snickers. We had a family meeting when we first got him, and we named him Snickers. But no one never calls him Snickers, except the vet.
Yeah, my cat's name's Kitty.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me put it in Celsius. Oh, I forgot. Jaron and Witsit destroyed the Celsius centigrade scale. What do you want it in?
Fruit Loops.
What? Piglets.
Fruit Loops.
I don't think they did. By presenting that document, anyone that reads it will see how we came to the assurity of
No,
that.
I mean for the rest of us that are can fog a mirror, that means the temperature right now is 1.6 Celsius.
That's freezing.
It's sunshine. It'll throw you because you look outside. It looks beautiful, right? The sun's shining. It's gorgeous. Yeah. Go ahead and walk outside, especially when we're used to 90 and 105 degrees. Oh, God. Guess what it's going to be tonight? Take a guess.
Dark.
It's going to be dark. That's true. I'm fishing for temperature, though, Adam.
Oh.
Thank you for your attention to detail. You freaking.
Well, I'm not going to go warmer.
You're a rocket scientist, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm shit hot, you see. I'm going to go -4.
Minus 7.7 Celsius.
Oof.
It's going to be a record here. I know that. I think this is going to be a bad winter. It has that. I got that feeling with it. And my spidey sense is going off because we've been spared, for the most part, of bad winters here in the heartland. We're going to get our asses handed to us this year.
What a lovely day!